a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene an executive session and a regular meeting on Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2010, at 5:45 p.m. and 6 p.m. in the City Commission chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Executive session, item A, attorney consultation pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code regarding pending litigation.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we go into executive session.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? We'll retreat to executive session. Thank you, sir.
Okay, you please rise. Please flag and put your eyes.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Pastor Juan Morales will be leading us in the invitation. Thank you, Pastor.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you in the mighty name of Jesus. And Lord God, we ask you that you will enable us with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Mighty God, I pray for the mayor, the commissioners, and all the leaders of the city of Brownsville. Mighty God, I pray that you will give us a God-fearing spirit and help us to recognize that one of these days we will be accountable for all the decisions we made. Lord God, help us with wisdom to make good decisions. Lord God, I pray that you will enable us to be honest and faithful to our spouses and children. I pray, Lord God, that you help us to respect our parents if they're living. Lord God, I pray for the city of Brownsville. I pray for our community. I pray for the BISD. I pray for each and every one that have an authority here in the city of Brownsville. And finally, mighty God, I pray for our country, our nation, our president. I pray, Lord God, your protection be upon each and every one of us. And mighty God, I just pray that your presence, your love be with each and every one of us. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. Item A.
Action on item discussed in executive session. Item A, consideration and action to take action on pending litigation as advised by counsel in executive session.
Mayor, I'd move to advise council to proceed as discussed in executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Terriani. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next item, Mayor's report.
Mayor's report.
Okay, on the Weir project, I went and did a presentation at the Valley Interfaith, Lions Club, Interagency Group, BDC, JIBIC, Cameron Works. I believe this is the most important project to hit the city of Brownsville in 50 years. Hopefully, it is a viable project. Hopefully, we can see it to fruition and get behind this project because that will meet the future needs of the city and create jobs. And I will be continuing to make presentations to groups, and I look forward to meeting each and every one of them and explain to them what this project is all about as far as economic development and how it affects the city. On the Hades relief efforts with JK Family Clinic, in conjunction with the city, we hosted a taco sale, raised $2,000 for the Haitian Relief Fund. The check will be presented to PUB Monday, and efforts will continue to raise funds for the Haitian relief to help the citizens of Haiti. I think approximately 200,000 people lost their lives in that disaster. That's equivalent to the size, the population of the city of Brownsville, that one day is here and the next day it's gone. And the world has come to try and help by responding to the need, and Brownsville is doing the same thing. With the help of the City Commission, PUB, and everybody that wants to get involved, is appreciated, and I'm sure you will be repaid tenfold. Citizens can help by donating $5 one time if you like, when you go pay your PUB bill. You will find on the PUB bill where you can check off and donate $5 when you pay your bill, and I encourage all citizens to do that. That's something that's needed to help them rebuild their country and their lives. So that's appreciated, and look for it in your PUB bill, and if you can, donate $5. The PUB meeting we had this past Monday, we're going to have another one this coming Monday, where there was talk there about projects that are important to the city. On the Mr. Amigo trip, I had planned to go. It's a fun trip. I enjoyed it last year. It was a great trip. Unfortunately, this year, I thought my place was here, and I did not go. Commissioner Troiani served as Mayor Pro Tem, and I got report from the Mexican Consulate, Judge Neese, and others that it went very well, and we look forward to having Mr. Amigo here for our binational celebration. And thank you, Commissioner Troiani, for taking my place and representing the city of Brownsville at this important event. I felt that enough people were representing the city. The city manager went up there, Commissioner Longoria and Commissioner Troiani and others, that I didn't think there was a need for me to go. I thought my place was here, and I stayed behind to be where I needed to be. During the last mild freeze that we had experienced here in the city, we had a lot of pipe breakage. And the reason we're having a lot of pipe breakage is because the lack of maintenance in our infrastructure as far as water lines and stuff like that. PUB responded very quickly, and we need to continue to maintain those pipes and upgrade when we need to, where we ever need to upgrade, to make sure that we can withstand those type of change in temperatures. There's a legislative trip in early March to Washington that I will be participating with the Texas Border Coalition, and that's coming. I think that will be beneficial to represent the whole region, and Brownsville doing its part. The Texas Humane Legislative Network contacted me. They'll be here February 15th to work with the city on legislative matters on how to prevent animal cruelty. And this comes as a result of the killing of that puppy, that unfortunate incident where it was very barbaric, very callous, and just brutal. And it got the attention of the Texas Humane Legislative Network that they're coming to Brownsville, meeting with rescue groups to help pass legislation to deal with those kind of issues. Also, I got a copy of legislation dealing with graffiti. I forwarded it to the city manager because I've been getting complaints about graffiti. And when it's in private property, I know some people feel like we're not doing enough. But apparently there is some legislation to where it allows us to work with the property owner, and it was forwarded there to perhaps we can better address those issues and problems with graffiti here in the city. The Brownsville Housing Authority Board is on track. I went to the Valley Regional Chess Tournament where they're going to compete. The winner will compete in national tournament hopefully they'll bring a trophy for the city of Brownsville. And we'll be awarding a proclamation to the winner at the Valley Regional Chess Tournament at the next meeting. Also, I was contacted by an Eagle Scout who is very anxious to serve his community, or he's a candidate for Eagle Scout. He's anxious to serve his community and is taking on a project to improve a park in the city, and he's going to be constructing an obstacle course for pets at the animal park. And this young man impressed me. He is seeking sponsors to get the materials to do like a ramp and a walkway and also a tire where pets can jump through and hurdles and stuff like that. So that's going to be a wonderful addition to the Catherine Stillman Park on 511. Those are some of the things that occurred since the last meeting, aside from all the meetings that I have and talk to people or forward complaints to the city manager or address issues that need to be addressed. Based on that, we'll go next to the commissioner's report. Commissioner Charlie Atkinson, do you have something to report?
Yes, sir. Just to let people know, we started our basketball leagues for the city of Brownsville. And as many of y'all know, we're not using the facility down on 7th Street. I know people call it the Boys and Girls Club on downtown, but we got to figure out another name for
Recreation Center.
the Recreation Center. Just to let you know, your tax dollars at work, they're putting in air conditioning. They're revamping everything in that gym and that facility. They're really. I walked through there the other day, and there was like 20 City of Brownsville workers in there. So they're moving fast on preparing and getting it ready for some of these leagues. It won't be ready till late April, but they wanted me to let y'all know that they're working hard, and it will get done. And those of you who grew up like I did in the Boys and Girls Club downtown, it's nice to see that they're putting in air conditioning and that they're renovating in a way that it's going to be real nice for the kids. Speaking of that, I met with BISD today, and we provided them a certificate of insurance because, as you know, since there's no Boys and Girls Club, the city of Brownsville has had to pick up the slack to provide children with extracurricular activities such as basketball and volleyball. And some of these things spill over to BISD because BISD has a lot of green area and they have a lot of gyms. And we feel our city kids are the same BISD kids, and they should be allowed to participate at the schools so they can practice. St. Luke's, I want to thank St. Luke's and St. Mary's. I don't know, some of you parents have been to the games. We're holding city events as basketball, our youth basketball league, at their facilities. The private schools have opened their doors to the city of Brownsville to let us use their gyms for our little 5- and 6-year-olds or 7- and 8-year-olds. So I want to thank the private schools for stepping up and assisting the city of Brownsville in providing these areas for our kids because, you know, back 8-9 years ago, there was maybe 20 teams for basketball. Now we're 90 teams. We're getting more and more children participating in basketball, our tackle football leagues, and these are city of Brownsville leagues. So we did provide a certificate of insurance for BISD, so if anybody wants to take their kids to practice there under a city event like our basketball leagues or our football leagues, then they should be able to work with you so you can practice at those facilities. Also, on District 2, Cowan Terrace, I don't know if y'all know this, but the Cowan Terrace is divided in 2 streets, and in the middle there's this huge alley. And for many years, it's just been deteriorating, and it's caused a lot of rodent infestations. But I want to thank our Public Works Director, Santana Torres, who's stepped in for me after a lot of calls from a lot of people about that alley, and we're making some strides in fixing up that alley and clearing out a lot of debris and trash that have been in there for years. All we're asking now is that the people that live in Cowan Terrace, please put your trash in the front so it can get picked up. All the debris from when you cut down trees, put it in the front, because right now, since we're trying to renovate that alley, it's hard for these crews to come back and try to finish the job when people keep throwing stuff back in it. So I told our city director of public works that I would make an announcement for those people who live in that area. Please put your trash in front of the house for a while, and so we can finish that alley and it'll look nice for y'all. Lastly, I don't know if y'all know, but people in my district, there's a park which is called Central Avenue Park. It's Boca Chica and Central Avenue. And as you know, Boca Chica is a huge major street, and Central Avenue cuts off right there, and there's a park right in that corner. There's no parking. There's, it's a hazard for kids because if a ball runs into Boca Chica, I'm just glad nothing has really happened. But because there's no parking, everybody parks on Central Avenue Street, and kids run through the cars there, and it's been a big concern of mine and a lot of people who live in that area. So what we're trying to do, and you'll see it in the near future, is 2 blocks away is Cabler Park. It's a huge park. It's still a huge area where we can add new things. We're thinking of maybe moving some of the equipment at the Central Avenue Park to Cabler Park so we can basically protect kids in a way where they don't have to be playing in an area where trucks go by, big tankers go by. We want to move that park and really the equipment from that park just down the street. So we'll be coming up on public hearings to see if, people are going to say, well, we need these parks, but it's not like we're closing this park and there's nothing else around there. There's Cabler Park is like 2 blocks away. So we're just going to try to move and get people to think they can go to Cabler Park and not go to this park. But in the future, we'll come back with you on that. And I've gotten a lot of concerns from parents there that it's just too unsafe for these kids to be playing there. So I'm committed and along with the Parks Department, to do something about it. And hopefully the sale of that Central Avenue Park, the land, we can use that money to build a gym in that area, because anybody that lives in my district, y'all know if your kids play sports, you got to go to Olivera Park around 4:30 in the afternoon. You got to go through so much traffic to go to Olivera Park by Pace. I mean, we're talking over here by Perkins, and we're way over here on the east side. Or you got to go to Gonzales, Southmost, where you're still fighting traffic. And I think it behooves us to try to build a gym in that area for the kids, so you don't have to travel, parents don't have to travel many miles just to get to Olivera Park when you live on the east side by the airport. You know what I mean? So we know people have been asking for this, and I just want you to know that I'm committed to getting that done. And with everybody's help and the parks and public works department, we'll get it done. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, Commissioner Triani.
Thank you. I just want to say that thank you to the Mr. Amigo Association and to the Charo Days group. I went down to Mexico City this past weekend for the Mr. Amigo Vicente Fernandez Jr. That was a wonderful trip, and it really brought home just the sense of unity, and it hadn't really hit me as much how much a trip like that really shows goodwill between the United States and Mexico. We had a very nice presentation close to the Templo Mayor in Mexico City at the convent there. I believe it was the Secretary for the Relaciones Exteriores for Mexico was there. The consul for Mexico in the United States, Victor Trevino, and his wife were also there as well. And it was really nice to see people in Mexico support Brownsville and just show the interest in our community. And Mr. Fernandez was a wonderful person. He was very humble, and it was a very enjoyable trip. And considering some of the other things that we have to do on that are rather mundane, it was really interesting, and it showed a different light for the city of Brownsville. And I do want to thank the current Mr. Amigo President Eddie Hernandez, Commissioner Ricardo Longoria, and obviously the Council, Victor Trevino, and the United States Council to Matamoros, Mr. McKinnon, was also there as well, and Mr. Kabler, the Mr. Amigo Association, Charo Days Association, Dr. Morales, the past president of the Mr. Amigo Association, and also Mr. Flores, who was also there, and Mr. Camacho, who will be the president this coming year. As far as attempting to, create ties with Mexico and show a working relationship, I think it was a wonderful event, and I do want to thank the mayor for asking me to be Mayor Pro Tem for that event. Thank you.
Thank you for taking on the responsibility, Commissioner Triani. And we could also not forget to thank the State Department of Mexico, who was very instrumental in putting all that together. That was very good of them. Next is, who's the next on the agenda here?
I'm next, Mayor.
Camarillo, Commissioner Camarillo.
Last week, I attended the LRGV DC board meeting, and we did a couple of things. We approved a budget for next year. Happy to say that the revenues have increased for the LRGV DC organization. It went very, very well. Ken Jones and his staff have done a fantastic job to help ensure that this organization continues to keep afloat, but also try to disseminate funds to communities in Cameron and Willacy and Hidalgo. So the meeting went very, very well. We were also able to award the city, through our Homeland Security Division, a grant that hopefully we'll be accepting tonight so that the city can act and the police department can recognize those funds from the council later on. And we also provided funding to the Brownsville Community Health Center. I know it was quite a bit of money. At one point, this item was tabled by the board for whatever reason, but at this past meeting, we were able to fund it. I think funded real well. And so the Brownsville Community Health Clinic will provide, obviously, they provide quality health care to the indigent of this community. And so we're very, very proud that we're able to help them out and provide them some support to get their facility moving. Westside Community Meeting on February the 15th. I'm going to have a District 4 meeting with residents within the district. It will be held at the Brownsville Police Westside Network Community Center, which is located along 281, Highway 281. Invite all residents to come and participate with me and just kind of share a dialogue session and hear some updates that have been taking place in the district. At the same time, basically, hear from a representative from TxDOT. We'll have someone from TxDOT at that meeting, as well as from code enforcement and from some of our other departments from the city. Basically, I look forward to hearing from folks and kind of seeing some of the issues that need to still be addressed and some of the things that we've done already to correct some of the issues that some of our residents face. So again, that's February the 15th at 5:30 p.m. at the Westside PD Network Community Center. Finally, a green minute. We are hopeful on April 22nd, as many of you know, is Earth Day and celebrated worldwide. Our environmental committee, which was approved by the commission when the plastic bag ordinance was adopted, has been meeting and developing ways to promote reusable bags within the community. It's something that's going to be an ongoing task. One of the things that the committee would like to do, and the city hopefully will lead efforts on, is on April 22nd, we'd like to have a reusable bag day, in which we're going to ask every retailer in Bronzeville not to distribute plastic bags. And each of us are asked, whether we go to a convenience store or we go takeout or whatever, not to use a plastic bag. And if not, bring our own bags to the shopping centers. But that day, make a concerted effort not to use a single plastic bag. We look forward to that initiative. I think it'd be a great deal. I don't think anyone's ever really done that before, but the committee and I think the city could really help lead the effort in recognizing Earth Day as very significant for us, and hopefully, again, not to use a single plastic bag that day. So you're going to hear about it down the road, but again, I would encourage you all to help spread the word. This is going to be something real important for the community and ultimately for our environment. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Camarillo. Proclamations are next. Simon Rivera High School Cluster Career and Technical Education Month. Is there, who's here to, okay, you're here?
The principal and responsible.
Good. Please come forward.
Tim Snyder, principal. Tim Snyder, principal. Tim Snyder, principal.
took it. She can use this one. Yeah. Okay. Hi, my dear.
Okay, proclamation. Whereas February 2010 has been designated Career and Technical Education Month at Simon Rivera High School Cluster by the Association for Career and Technical Education, and whereas profound economic and technological changes in our society are being reflected in the structure and nature of work, thereby placing new and additional responsibilities on our educational system, and whereas career and technical education provides Americans with a school-to-career connection and is the backbone of a strong, well-educated workforce which fosters productivity in business and industry and contributes to America's leadership in the international marketplace, and whereas career and technical education gives high school students experience in practical, meaningful applications of basic skills such as reading, writing, and mathematics, thus improving the quality of their education, motivating potential dropouts, and giving all students leadership opportunities in their fields and in their communities, and whereas career and technical education offers individuals lifelong opportunities to learn new skills which provide them with career choices and potential satisfaction, and whereas the ever-increasing cooperative efforts of career and technical educators, business and industry stimulate the growth and vitality of our local economy and that of the entire nation by preparing graduates for career fields forecast to experience the largest and fastest growth in the next decade. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, do hereby proclaim February 2010 as Career and Technical Education Month at Simon Rivera High School, and further urge all our citizens to become familiar with the services and benefits offered by the career and technical education programs in this community and to further support and participate in these programs. Done on this second day of February 2010, Mayor Pat Amwada and the City Commission.
Whenever you're ready. She can come up to the podium.
Do I begin? Yes. Good evening. Career and Technical Education, also known as CTE. I'm sorry. Okay. Career and Technical Education, also known as CTE, has a long and rich history in the United States. Today, CTE has evolved from a limited number of programs available at the turn of the 20th century into a broad system that encompasses a variety of challenging fields in diverse subject areas, which are constantly evolving due to the changing global economy. Today's CTE provides students with academic subject matters taught with relevance to the real world, employability skills from job-related skills to workplace ethics, career pathways that link secondary and post-secondary education, second chance education and training, and education for additional training and degrees, especially related to workplace training, skills upgrades, and career advancement. Today, I am here representing the criminal justice, along with fellow students in programs such as culinary arts, health science, Ready, Set, Teach program, and the business education and the international business magnet. These programs have been instrumental in our school involvement and attaining academic goals. We have learned the importance of competition, leadership, teamwork, and becoming productive citizens. I remember just entering high school and I was shy. I didn't know what I wanted in life. I had no idea I just didn't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But because of our CTE program, I know that there's so many options, and my career pathway is criminal justice, and there's so much to do, and it's all because that we have this program available to us. So, to the City of Brownsville and its leaders, I would like to say thank you for your support and recognition of career and technical education. With your support, you help us lead the way for a better future. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for letting me be here today. I'll be taking culinary arts this year because I also had learned to make different recipes, and I have good little bit different recipes, like I said, and I also learned I prepare different foods and different for the state class. This year I had very culinary arts because I took family development and for nutrition like 2 years ago, where my best teacher, Mr. Neves. So Mr. Neves, I want to thank you to Mr. Neves too, and to the be here today. And we just came from Corpus Christi for campaign. It was a good experience. So like I said, thank you to Ms. Fraser, Mr. Snyder, and Ms. Jenny Reese. Thank you.
It's, if you want us to enlarge it. I don't mind seeing it. Oh, here's a larger one.
Southmost Elementary, any representatives? All right, come on up. The City of Brownsville is proud to present one of Brownsville's finest schools, Southmost Elementary, with a proclamation recognizing the staff and students with an outstanding federal achievement. Our city's success is contingent on the success of our schools. Brownsville's future relies on just that, and we are proud to be working with BISD on the United Brownsville front. This Blue Ribbon School designation is one great honor. We are all so very proud of you. Thank you for coming today, and I'm going to read the proclamation. A proclamation of the City of Brownsville, Texas, congratulating Southmost Elementary School on its designation as a 2009 Blue Ribbon School. Whereas the No Child Left Behind Blue Ribbon Schools program honors schools that are academically superior or that demonstrate dramatic gains in student achievement to the high levels, and whereas the Blue Ribbon Schools program honors public and private schools based on one of two criteria. One, schools whose students, regardless of background, achieve in the top 10% of their state on state tests, And 2, schools with at least 40% of their students from disadvantaged backgrounds that demonstrate dramatic improvement of student performance to high levels on state tests or nationally normal tests. And whereas Southmost Elementary School is one of 314 schools in the nation that was named a 2009 Blue Ribbon School, and whereas the school, located at 5245 Southmost Boulevard, is the first in the Brownsville Independent School District to receive this award, which is the highest honor the U.S. Department of Education can bestow on a school, and whereas a delegation from Southmost Elementary School received the Blue Ribbon Award in Washington, D.C. on November 3rd, 2009, and were invited to attend the No Child Left Behind Blue Ribbon Schools recognition event in Austin on January 25th, 2010. Now therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, and on behalf of all our citizens, do hereby congratulate Southmost Elementary on its designation as a 2009 Blue Ribbon School, and further recognize the administration, faculty, and student body on an outstanding award-winning effort done on this, the second day of February 2010, signed Mayor Pat Almada, Commissioners Anthony Troiani, Rose Gowen, Rick Longoria, Charlie Atkinson, myself, Edward Camarillo, and our City Secretary, Estela Von Hatten.
Employee of the Month.
Just a few words in the proclamations. There's a lot of good things happening in Brownsville. A lot of it we don't even know about, but when we do get the chance to recognize either a person or an entity or an achievement, it's not only for us, it's great for us as the elected body that represents the community to issue these proclamations. It's a great honor. But it's also an honor for those receiving it, because I think it marks an important event or something that, a special achievement or something that needs to be recognized. And it also highlights the positive things that is happening in our community. And there are many things like this that happen often. And I wish we could recognize them all, but it's good for the citizens to be aware of it. And it's an honor for us as the City Commission and Mayor to do these things that highlights those positive things. And I want to thank everybody that does come here and or brings it to our attention when we need to recognize somebody for doing something. Thank you very much. The next thing is the Employee of the Month.
Employee of the Month for February, Mayor.
Thank you.
Members of the Commission, please help me welcome Chris Hangstrom from our Health Department. Chris has been with the Health Department since 2003 as initially as an enforcement, ordinance enforcement supervisor, and then he was later promoted to the public health coordinator. He's been with the city since 1998, started his career with the city in the municipal court, and also worked shortly with our Public Works Department. He coordinates many projects, and as you know, Mayor, he helped coordinate the groundbreaking ceremonies for the Stillman Dog Park, among other things that year. He also, in that same year, 2009, helped and coordinate with staff and working on a vector control ordinance enforcement grant, which was very successful. In fact, it was recognized at the state level, and the City of Brownsville Health Department was awarded the 2009 Texas Environmental Health Award based on his efforts with staff on that grant. He's a very positive person, leads by example. We love his supervisory skills. He gets things done in a very positive manner, sits down with staff. Morale's high in the health department because of his way of doing things, his way of getting things done. So as Employee of the Month for February, he is awarded the plaque in recognition of outstanding services rendered to the City of Brownsville, presented on the second day of February 2010. I think he's already got a cap, but we're going to give him another one. And the Employee of the Month pin. And as you know, he is eligible for the Employee of the Year award, which is presented in December at our banquet. He will get some time off, and Art Rodriguez has promised to take him to a restaurant that has been approved for health permits for lunch. So congratulations, Chris.
Chris, would you like to say a few words? Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much. It's been an honor working for the City of Brownsville and under the Health Department, under Mr. Rodriguez's administration. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for what you do. It's great to work with you. Okay, item 5, consent agenda items.
Item 5, consent agenda items A through H.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Longoria, second by Commissioner Triani. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 6, consideration and action to appoint one alternate member to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals.
Mr. Gomez?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Commission. This item is to appoint the last alternate member or reappoint. And I believe Commissioner Simona has that appointee. All the application has been submitted to the City Secretary's office.
Do we have a candidate?
I move to appoint Rafael Chacon.
Correct.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Zamora, second by Commissioner Atkinson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Item 7.
Item 7, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint one member to the Parks Advisory Board Committee.
Mayor, I'd like to appoint Mrs. Medi Hagee.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Camarillo, second by Commissioner Zamora. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.
Item 8, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2010-1519 to amend Chapter 98 of the Brownsville City Code by introducing Section 98-13, parking on commercial premises.
John, before you get started, I was reading the ordinance. People like to congregate somewhere, and I understand what we're trying to do here, but do we have any alternative where they can congregate instead of meeting by the airport or doing something illegal? I don't want to criminalize something that is not out to do harm, or, people like to congregate, especially on weekends. Do we have some place we can offer them where they can do what you're trying to prohibit?
We have our city parks.
I just feel like we're criminalizing people just for congregating. If they're doing something illegal, I could understand it, and I just have a problem with it. But go ahead. Go ahead.
The problem has been with, and the Chief Garcia can explain in a little bit more detail than I can, some of the problems that the ordinance is meant to address. And before the Chief addresses you, I'd like to note that I'm going to hand you a revised copy of the ordinance. We've eliminated Section 4 of the ordinance that's in your packet.
This is not it?
I'm going to pass it out,
Oh,
the
okay.
corrected one. We've eliminated Section 4 and a couple of words in Section 3. So let me give these to you.
Mayor, members of the City Commission, good evening. In regards to this ordinance, throughout the last several years, we have had numerous problems at certain parking lots, especially on weekends, but more so on Sunday evenings. Some of the problem areas that we experience are the Burlington Coat Factory, Strawberry Square, Paseo de la Reforma, and the former Albertsons parking lot. Now it's a teleperformance business that's there. And pretty much you have had car clubs or groups of teenagers pretty much, go and act and drive in a manner that's been reckless in those parking lots. We've had accidents there. We've had to address this issue every Sunday night from about 8 p.m. till about midnight. And when you're talking about several hundred kids that are gathering and doing things that normally are not allowed by law, we definitely have a serious issue here. We've had numerous complaints from Mr. Bill Hudson at the Paseo de la Reforma, where he has suffered damaged property to his property there. Mr. Bill Hudson. Okay. Definitely, we have talked to the other property managers at Burlington Code, where we've asked them to please help us by posting signs. But apparently, that has not been enough as far as this group of teenagers, car clubs, motorcycle clubs, that actually make it a point to get together and do stunts, drive recklessly in the parking lot. I mean, after several years ago, pursuit was initiated out of there. They wound up several teenagers or individuals killed on the expressway because of the reckless driving. It's just not something that we talk about teenagers congregating. We're talking about their act, their conduct. It goes beyond, what the law prescribes. Definitely, this is a start. I don't think it's going to remedy the situation, but it is a start. But we need to address this problem before it really gets out of hand.
And I support you in enforcing the laws when somebody breaks the law or poses anybody in danger. But I've also seen people who are not criminals or not doing anything illegal, maybe showing off their cars parked innocently. I don't think they harm anybody. But I mean, this is what you want. I just feel like we're blanketing everybody as being there for illegal or illicit purposes when not everybody's out to do any.
In most cases, Mayor, these individuals are congregating after the business hours. Businesses are closed.
I understand.
So it's private property.
Yes, it is private.
They really have no business there because they're not conducting any type of lawful business with it.
Laws. We're passing laws on private property. That's what I'm just,
I understand.
Chief.
This is an ordinance, it's not going to remedy this.
Just because we disagree, it doesn't
No,
mean
sir.
it's a bad ordinance. I'm just saying,
understand.
there's a lot of good activity that I hate
Yes, sir.
that we're, with one brush, putting everybody in the same basket. That's all I'm saying. And I wish we had someplace for these people to go to show their cars and get together, instead of going someplace else that, I don't know. I just guess there's no simple answer. Okay, do you want to, this is a public hearing? Commissioner
Mr. Chelsea?
Zamora? Commissioner Zamora was recognized. Go ahead.
Mr. Chelsea?
Yes, ma'am.
Does this include city parks? Because I've seen the same problem at one of our newer parks where we have adults congregating into the late hours past 11 o'clock, drinking, barbecuing in the parking lots.
No,
How
ma'am.
can we address?
It does not,
It
this
doesn't?
does not cover city parks, no.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Atkins?
I have a question. If we were to pass this ordinance and say, like, because I've seen all these kids at the Burlington factory on a Sunday night, there's lots of them. And like the mayor said, I say 90% of them are just hanging out and showing off their cars and stuff like that. And does this ordinance give the police the right to take like a SWAT team and clear out the whole place, or what What would it do? What would this ordinance do? What authority would the police have to just go get everybody out of there?
Well, it definitely gives you authority to one, first of all, serve notice by the signs that loitering is not allowed, and that's what they're doing. Second, I mean, more discretion than that has to be used by our department to determine, what kind of activity these teenagers are doing. But what we've experienced in the past is, you can see them from far away demonstrating their cars and things like that, but eventually a lot more goes on than that. This ordinance is not going to remedy the problem immediately, but we're hoping that maybe just with the message that loitering is not allowed, that maybe it'll become a problem that we don't have to address every so often.
Okay, Mr. Oresti? But we already have laws that deals with those things too, don't we not?
Yes, sir, that is true, but then again, we have to go back and, obtain consent from the owners, property owners, or,
So
in
that's
regards
where
to,
you find the difficulty.
right, where the property owners have to come in and complain and go through the process of filing sworn affidavits for trespassing purposes.
Go ahead.
Roberto Uresti. I work part-time at the Galaxia Car Wash, and we do have a loitering signs there, but that doesn't stop them. By passing this ordinance, it will help me, control some of these things. There is a lot of drinking. I have to handle that. I can't call the police all the time for anything, because that's one of my responsibilities there. And we do have a lot of kids that come at night, because I cannot be there 24 hours a day. I'm just part-time. I go there sometimes at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I see cars parked there, and I stop. I take my life in my hands to go in there and say, what's going on? You're not supposed to be here. The loitering. By this act that's being brought up, it will give us a little more help, especially all commercial properties. Because I see across the street is there's a little plaza there, Limon's Tortillas. There is also the AutoZone. People park there at night. And the police have a lot of things to do. And I do ask, even Chief comes by, and he does help me. And some of the police officers, I always ask them, you're welcome here, make your reports here, because I cannot be there all the time. We do need something to help not only this car wash, but all the commercial properties. And it will be very, very helpful as another tool. It doesn't mean that we're going to put everybody in jail. No, we're just going to ask them, please move along. Thank you.
Mr. Ratzi, what street do you live on?
I live on Calle Pluton, which is next to the Galaxia Street, which is Galaxia Car Wash.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody for or against?
I have a
for or
question.
against? Commissioner
Um,
Camarillo? Have to hear it. You want to say something?
Yeah, Mr. Chosey, multifamily residential area, and I know we have this in El Valle West, and Chief, I know you know about this, areas that haven't been occupied in terms of building a home and so forth, but in certain areas off the curves, you have vacant properties on the street. Can cars just park there? Is this also include that situation? Because I know I get a number of complaints of people parking in an area where it's not visible to it's not near in front of anyone's home, but again, they park and they do all sorts of different things. Does this help alleviate that issue?
It may, but the ordinance is aimed at parking lots.
Parking lots, right.
Okay, any more comments? If not, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
We have a motion to close by Commissioner Camarillo. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Terriani. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This is an action item.
Move to approve.
Second?
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Camarillo, second by Commissioner Longoria. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm gonna go nay. I don't feel comfortable with it. Okay, go to the next one. Item 9.
Item 9, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2010-1520 to amend Chapter 22 of the City of Brownsville Business Code by introducing Article 11 to require registration with the city for payday advance and lending, car title lending, and check cashing businesses. Do you want to read the other one?
The city commission asked the legal department to take a look at how we might be able to legally regulate the payday loan business within the city. There's certain things we can legally do, there's certain things we can't. This first proposed ordinance is part of one of two ordinances that we're going to be proposing tonight. The first ordinance is going to require that people with the payday loans or car title loan type businesses register with the city, so we have an idea who's doing the business. They would be required to state any owner identify any owner with an interest of 10% or greater, the business address of the application, the location where the business would be conducted, whether or not any applicant or co-principal or employee had certain types of criminal convictions, whether they had engaged in businesses under an assumed name, and a certificate from the tax department of non-delinquency for city taxes. There would be a $100 fee that would have to be renewed annually with an appeal to the city commission if there was a rejection of the application. Basically, we have a situation where we have a growth, and this is not unique to Brownsville, it's certainly common throughout the state. It's probably going to require the state legislature to take a look at it. The city has limited tools. Regulation of financial institutions is more of a matter for the state and for the federal government than for cities. But two things the cities can certainly do are register, and then the other thing is use its zoning power to require businesses to zone to certain areas of the city. So basically what we would be doing is we would be requiring businesses to register so we would be able to monitor where they were going, who they were, and where they were doing business, and that's what this ordinance does. It also gives the city a power of temporary injunction if a payday loan place or a car title place did not register in violation of this ordinance. We would have the ability to go after and basically ask the court for an injunction until they complied with the registration requirements of the ordinance.
Mark, so this is for all new incoming payday loan businesses? Or
This ordinance is going to apply to every payday loan business in the city without a grandfather provision.
Okay.
We're going to have a 60-day phase-in. We're going to require everyone to register. There will be no exceptions.
Makes sense. Thanks, Mark.
Any further questions, public hearing?
Does this lift the moratorium? No.
No,
I mean,
Commissioner.
okay,
This has nothing to do with, this is a requirement that all payday loan businesses register.
Okay.
Once this goes
Trying to
into
clarify.
effect, the moratorium is over.
No, the next ordinance would deal with the moratorium. This deals with the requirement of registration, which would be a different thing entirely, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
This is a public hearing. Anybody for or against this that wants to speak out? No? Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Camarillo. Can I
Yes.
have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item.
Action?
Move to approve?
Second.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We got a motion to approve by Commissioner Longoria, second by.
Camarillo.
Pardon me?
Camarillo.
Commissioner Camarillo. And second by Dr. Gowan.
Commissioner
Any
Samora.
further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Item
Item
10.
10.
Public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2010-1521 to amend Chapter 348 of the City of Brownsville zoning code by amending several sections to provide regulations for payday advance and lending, card title lending, and check cashing businesses.
This will deal with the moratorium then.
It will deal with the moratorium by requiring businesses to locate in zones that they should be located in.
Because I talked to Evaristo, I think it was today or yesterday. He didn't know about this. I don't know. I told him to call you. Did he call you?
I've spoken to him today, Mr. Mayor. But basically, let me explain what the legal department is proposing. Right now, the city has a master zoning ordinance, and the master zoning ordinance does not contain any definition to regulate where these alternate financial institutions could go. I mean, you could make the argument that a payday loan place or a car title place could be located in a C2 or C1. There's nothing in the zoning ordinances that might prevent an alternate financial institution such as this from locating within such an area and close to a residential area. And that's a great area of concern for the legal department. The city has a master zoning ordinance, and what's fundamental to the zoning ordinances is that similar businesses be treated similarly. So what we had to do in trying to figure out where payday loan businesses should be located, we had to look at the different categories that we had within the city, and we had to figure out what was the best fit. If we look at the C4 area under the master zoning ordinance, C4 is the area where we have banks and where we have money exchange businesses. Banks may locate anywhere in C4. The money exchange businesses have an additional requirement that they not be located within 1,000 feet of a residence. So certainly that would be the closest fit that we would have, and we could go to C5, but these payday loan places aren't anything like mini warehouses, car washes, or wholesale showrooms. So in looking at treating similar businesses similarly, we would look at C4, and we would say, well, certainly we would want them to have greater regulation than banks. And the money exchange businesses, which are currently regulated by the city, permit location within C4, but prohibit location of these businesses within 1,000 feet of a residence. So in looking at this, it's a recommendation of the legal department that we treat these alternate financial institutions basically the same way we treat these money exchange businesses, which would be to locate them within area zone C4 and prohibit new businesses from opening within 1,000 feet of a residence.
Okay, Mark, well, I'm a little confused here then, because I went to look at the one that that passed through here with an exception to the moratorium. It's within 1,000 feet of a residence.
I'm not sure what you're referring to, Mr. Mayor.
2934 Boca Chica, International. I think it's 2934 International. There was one here that came before us.
Mr. Mayor, there was an application. There was an application for a payday loan place. That application was filed before the moratorium was put into place in December. And for that reason, the permit department didn't impose the moratorium because that application had already been filed, that paperwork had already been submitted to the city before the city enacted the moratorium. So that was basically something that happened before the legal department took action. There were in the entire month of December and the entire month of January, after we had the moratorium in effect, there were no applications and there were no payday loan places which opened in the city. The singular exception to that was the application that had been made before the moratorium was put in place. So it had nothing to do with the moratorium. It had nothing to do with the moratorium being partially lifted to permit businesses being located within the C4, which is what we're doing, asking the commission to do here in the ordinance.
So we've had no applications since we had that exception up until this point.
My understanding is there have been no Mr. Gomez is here, but my understanding is there have been no applications for payday loans, no new applications since we placed the moratorium in effect.
Because I don't understand why this business owner was so concerned if he had filed the application prior to this moratorium.
I mean, why is the exception?
I don't know what you're talking about, Commissioner. I mean,
I think you do. You know who I'm talking about, but I don't want to list any names, mention any names, but we had an applicant that was very concerned about the moratorium, and he lobbied the city commission, and now we're here at this point.
There has been no applicant, Commissioner.
My concern is, are we having here a double standard? Either we do it right for everybody or we don't do it. You know, if we're going to be allowing this kind of thing happen to where we're going to make an exception because he lobbies or he doesn't lobby or whatever, I find that...
Hold on, Mr. Mayor. There has been no exception made in any case. The ordinance that's being proposed here is that businesses be located within C4 within 1,000 feet, not less than 1,000 feet of a residence, and no exception has been made under any circumstances for any individual. There has been no applicant. So I don't know what specifically you're referring to.
I guess the question, Mr. Saucy, is this, that if he had filed before the moratorium doesn't apply to him. So there was no need for him to come for the exception. Why did he come for the exception?
I don't know that, if you're referring to Mr. Chacon, I don't know that Mr. Chacon filed an application. I don't know that he even owns a payday loan business. So I don't know what you're trying to refer to.
Okay. Move to close. Let's move on. This is a public hearing. You would like to?
Did we work with United Way on this? I know they had some concerns about it.
I have, the United Way Commissioner is looking at creating a pilot program to make alternate loans available, and I think that's very valuable because they're addressing the problem, which is available credit for people that are lower income. I think that's important, but that's not really something that fits with our ordinance, which is more of a zoning nature. But I'm certainly aware of the United Way's efforts, and any assistance I can give to them in that regard, I will.
But did you call them? Did you work with them when coming up
I
with this?
I called them, Commissioner, but the issues in terms of zoning really have to do with where similarly situated businesses, it's really a governmental question, where similarly situated businesses are located within the city's master zoning plan.
Mr. Chairman?
I understand there might be some concern about whether an application or someone had solicited for a permit, but it's my understanding that no one has solicited for any permits since the imposition of the moratorium. Is that correct?
Commissioner.
Okay. And I believe that this is the first time that we as a body have attempted to control or regulate where these types of businesses are located. And given the economic situation in the area, in the country at this time, I think this is a good thing, and I think it's something that we all voted for because we wanted to see some sort of control. And if we haven't had an applicant during this period, I think this is kind of a moot point. And we ought to look at something city staff has put together in an effort to act on social justice issues, which I think you, Mayor, have attempted to support, and I think the rest of us have all attempted to support, because at the end of the day, we are putting some sort of order to a system that has had no regulation throughout this commission, and from what I understand, any other commission either. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And we support the effort. We just want to make sure that we're going to stick to it, and there's not going to be exceptions made. If it's 1,000 feet, it's 1,000 feet, and it's engraved in stone, and nobody else is going to be able to get exceptions from here on up. That's what I'm understanding
That's
from you.
why I'm proposing this ordinance.
Yeah, but the perception created by the exception, when it shouldn't have come for an exception, it shouldn't have come for an exception if the application was already.
Wait a minute, Mayor. There has been no application. I don't know what you're talking about.
There was
An
one here that
there was an
came here. There was
application
one that
that was
came
made
here.
before the moratorium was in place.
I understand
And
what
I know nothing about what you're talking about.
Mr. Saucy, I certainly applaud your efforts and your team's efforts on bringing this to us. I just was trying to understand why we had someone lobbying when there were applications prior to this moratorium. I'm just trying to gain a better understanding of the issue.
Well, first of all, Commissioner Zamora, there has been no application during the entire month
I got that,
of
Mr.
December or
Saucy.
January. So when we're talking about applications and double standards, since there was no application, I don't know what this commission is referring to.
Yes, I heard that the first time, Mr. Saucy. I was just trying to clarify why I didn't understand this person calling me repeatedly, wanting to know more about the moratorium and looking for some sort of exception and why he was so concerned when his applications were prior to this moratorium. That's all I'm trying to say.
I don't know that
I
that
think we can
individual
move- I
made an
think we can move
application.
on. I mean, I was told by also staff that there was a CO issued on International Boulevard, but, you know, if the intent is here to set a standard, I'm for that. Let's move on, unless somebody has an objection.
Move to
I
close.
think it's a good thing.
I'll second
It's a good
that.
thing.
We have someone else
But
to
I
say
think
something.
there's a gentleman who wants to speak. It's a public hearing. And let me call for the close of the public hearing before somebody jumps the gun.
Good evening, City Commission. Good evening, Mayor.
Good
Well,
evening.
I'm Mr. Chacon. The reason I'm here, I heard my name right now. And I'd just like to give my opinion. I've never been an applicant for a payday loan. I do owe a couple of shopping centers. We all are suffering the economy, how it's, you know, I don't need to tell you how all of us have suffered on these last 2 years. As a developer, as a commercial landlord, it's been very challenging to bring in tenants. I have problems making my loan every day, so I really have to go out of my way to try to bring in new tenants. One of my concerns that I didn't know on the 15th of December was the moratorium. All of a sudden, I've been working with advanced payday for the last 3 months, prior to 15th of December, and all of a sudden, boom, moratorium. So yes, that's a concern that I had, and yes, I spoke, gave my opinion, and now I'm giving it publicly. I really do not understand why we're trying to regulate this. If it's because we're gouging our citizens, with all due respect, I don't think it's our responsibility. It is a legitimate business regulated by the state of Texas. I think that's state issues that have to be dealt there. Yes, it is expensive money, and why not empower our citizens through Channel 12 and show them and explain to them what the real cost of money is, what the real cost of a credit card if you pay a late fee, what the real cost of money when how to balance a checkbook. Why don't we empower our citizens that way? If we limit these, this is my point of view, if we limit opening new businesses, then we have less competition, right? That money sometimes for people, it's HEB money, it's grocery money. They need $500 or a title loan or whatever. If they have more competition to go and check what's a better deal for them, they'll go. If we limit new businesses from coming in, then the people that are already there, they're going to have more of an advantage and be less competitive in their rates, whatever it is. That's my point of view from a business point of view. Now, as a developer, we do not have a lot of tenants. I wish I could tell you that we have calls every day for tenants. We don't, and you can see my shopping centers. My Boca Chica, I just lost Fantasyland, 20,000 square feet, and I gave them a good deal so they can come in. I have 2 more empty spaces there. One of them was going to be for Advance. I'm using one of them as offices because it used to be a hair salon that they handed over the keys. We have the small loan companies that are going to be tenants. We have the cellular phone. We have the insurance companies, the small insurance companies, the car insurance companies. And there's not a lot of what we call the mom and pop businesses are all suffering. So now we put another limit on somebody that could potentially pay rent. That's my point of view. And I don't think we ought to limit them. And I don't think we have had any applications, and we will not. It's hard to get a license. It takes about 5 or 6 months. They have to investigate you and make sure that FBI checks you and everybody. It's hard to get a license just to open one of those businesses. And it's all public records. If you see where they're open, they have to specify where they're open, and you can check it on the internet. It's hard for one person to open one of those businesses. I don't think we even have a citizen of Brownsville that owns one of them. There's some small loan companies, but not the Payday or Advanced. They're all from out of town. So I really appreciate your time and appreciate your hearing my concerns as a developer. I don't think we really need it, gentlemen.
Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Chacon? No? Thank you for coming, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody else? For or against? Can we have a motion to close public hearing?
Move to close.
Motion to close by Commissioner Triani. Can I have a second? Second by Commissioner Gowan. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This is an action item.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Triani, second by Commissioner Atkinson. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So it'll be 1,000 feet from a residence. Okay. Item 11, public comments.
Item 11, public comment.
The first is Mr. Oresti, then Ms. Garzoria, then Mr. Burks, Pastor Burks, Gracia, and then Mr. Resendez, in that order. Welcome, everybody. Please address the chair. Refrain from attacking anybody, and please stay within the 3 minutes. Go ahead, Mr. Oresti.
Mayor and Commissioners, Roberto Oresti, 1220 Calle Pluton, Galaxia Subdivision. I'd like to present the commissioners two pictures so they can look them over. The pictures are a footbridge in the southmost area on Calle Amistisa Drive. It's called the Ureste Fuentes Bridge because Mrs. Fuentes was a resident there, and I helped her build that little bridge. And as you can see, the pipes, that was the old bridge, okay? And the new bridge is there. It's, the complaint that came to me was that it needs a little graffiti, and the sidewalk was kind of busted. And I just talked to Public Works, and they said they were going to investigate it very quickly, and I appreciate that real fast. But there's also another concern that I noticed. There is no light. There needs one major light because there is no light there at all. And it seems like there's some activity going underneath the bridge where the graffiti is. So it is a concern for those residents. So it will be appreciated. I know that Public Works is going out there, but it would be appreciated the commission here would look into putting one major light there. Thank you. The second part I'm going to talk about is mosquitoes. For some reason, mosquitoes have become climatized. They come out at 40-degree weather, and sometimes Public Works needs to put out repellent. Go to the places, especially Galaxia. The mosquitoes are very bad there. I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Patterson because he talked to me a few minutes ago on the poison program that he's going to develop for the citizens of Brownsville. I'm very happy about that. I think the citizens of Brownsville need to be informed about all the poisonous insects and snakes that we have here in this area. I'd like to say thank you, big thank you about the old military highway road on the west side of Brownsville. It's going very quickly. At the rate they're going, they already got to 16th Street, and they already put the caliche. I mean, if PUB gets involved, then everything is going to stop. I guarantee you that. Keep PUB out of it, okay? On the Scheider, Lindale, I spoke about the hole there. Public Works went out there real quickly and took care of it. The bus is making that hole there. Thank you very much. And now the last thing is, well, there was a comment by the commission here about me that I was not informed about the pet or dog and cat regulations or ordinance. What I was saying last time, and I'll say it again, I spoke to many people. Yes, we needed to amend the ordinance about people having only one cat or one dog. That's what I'm talking about. If you want to have some control over these animals, you see them selling them dogs at Pizza Hut on Ruben Torres Road. Come on, I saw the lady selling dogs there the other time. The newspaper, take a look at all the ads for dogs and cats. That needs to be stopped. If you really want to do something and help these animals, I do like animals, I do like cats and dogs, but you need to make a moratorium and get rid of this selling in the city of Brownsville. If you could get rid of plastic bags, you can surely help the animals. And that's what I was talking about it. So I am informed about the rules. I have no dog. My ex-wife has the dog, okay? And I visit that dog every day because I do love that little dog. And he loves me too. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Grasoria?
Communal property?
Please try to stay within your 3 minutes, and please do not attack anybody. Address the chair. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, City Commissioners and Mayor. My concern today is with the alleged increase of the consumer rates at the PUB. A study, in quotations, was conducted and paid for by the PUB board regarding rate increases. And the study came out to conclude that we do need the alleged increase for the city of Brownsville for the next few years, which would affect us for the next 4 or 5 years to come. As suspicious as this study might seem, okay, given the fact that the PUB was awarded monies this past year to the tune of $46 million for upgrades to the city and the PUB, it would only stand to reason that given this enormous amount of money that the PUB has received, that receiving this money, the PUB would not be in dire straits of money, whereas to increase rates on the citizens. If so, and they are still in dire straits, I suggest that there is something seriously wrong, either with the money itself, the allocation of the money, or what needs to be done to be given that $46 million and offset this new rate increase, supposedly that we really, really, really do need. I think that it needs to be looked at, a second look, or a telescopic look, whatever you want to call it. And must we be reminded that greed breeds corruption? Last year, we saw that in the disaster of Wall Street. So many instances that we have before us, be it our government, the banking system, or whatever you want to call it. 2009 was a disaster year, which we're all living the consequences today. And if this rate increase comes about, we will live the consequences for the next 4 or 5 years. I vehemently oppose the increase of the PUB rates, and I also sincerely and humbly and respectfully request that our mayor abstain from this vote, since he presently serves as a member of the PU Board of Directors. And that's what I have to say, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grasoria. Brad Burks.
Thank you. I'm Brad Burks, Pastor Embassy of the Spirit, Brownsville. First of all, I want to start by thanking each one of you for being willing to serve the citizens of Brownsville. Whether I agree or disagree with the way you vote, I appreciate the fact that you're willing to get up and make a stand and do something for this city. Most of the people in the city don't realize that you only get $10 per meeting. That price, I believe, was set in 1946 when it was worth about $20 or more, I don't know.
And let me say this, some people think we're overpaid.
Yeah, I know. I realize that. But the main reason I came today, got up here to speak was I was made aware yesterday that more than $3 million did not come to Brownsville people last year because they did not file their taxes. Let me encourage you, if you worked and money was taken out of your taxes, out of your paycheck, file your taxes this year. If you make less than $49,000 a year, you can get free help getting your taxes filed. Dial 211 and they will direct you to a location that will help you for free, and it will e-file for you so you'll get your refund quickly. You don't have to give half of your money to somebody to get your money today. Wait 2 weeks and get the whole amount. Secondly, let me encourage the people of Brownsville to be honest on their taxes. I don't want to pay any more than I have to. I really don't. But if we want to ask God to bless us, we need to be honest on our part. Jesus said, pay unto Caesar that which is Caesar. I don't want to see you paying any more than you have to. Get the money back that is due you, and I think a lot of the citizens would make better use of it than our government in Washington. Thirdly, I appreciate what you're doing as far as encouraging people to give to Haiti. Let me also mention that if your churches out there have somebody in Haiti that they know personally, I would encourage you to give it through your church. I do not have anybody there personally, but Good Shepherd Community Church on Morrison Road behind Academy has a missionary that was there before the earthquake. They'll be there after the disaster. So after they've given the food and the medical attention, they'll still be there to help the people. And I encourage you to give to somebody like that. And those of you in churches may have somebody there that you know personally. And that way you know it's getting to the people that will make good use of it. And I appreciate what you're doing, encouraging PUB to be a part of.
But it's going through the Red Cross, Pastor.
And Red Cross is great. So,
yeah, so I mean, PUB's not keeping the money, or, I mean, you know, It's going through the Red Cross.
Yeah, and I
Okay,
appreciate that. Thank
so
you for
they're
that.
just as credible as your church or anybody else?
Yes, yes. My only reasoning for mentioning the church is that they'll be there after the Red Cross and everybody leaves, your missionaries that are stationed there permanently. And the business owner that mentioned the 211 to me, let me encourage business owners out there and remind your employees that they can get their taxes filed and get their money back. You've been paying them good money. You want them to get all that they can get from it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor. Lu Gracia. Welcome to our chambers.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Lou Gracia. I live at 1920 North Vermilion Avenue, which my understanding is just outside the city limits. I received my mail in the afternoon at 827 North Central Avenue, which is inside the city limits. The distance between the two is approximately 2.3 miles. I pay taxes here in Brownsville, and I also have a child care center here in Brownsville. Tonight, I guess action item number 19 is going to be presented to you to reject bids for the city of Brownsville for purchasing trophies and awards. My husband and I operate a small awards business called Valley Trophy Service, or VTS. We do this in our home, which we have a building attached to our home. We have done business with the city of Brownsville for several years, and they seem to be very happy with our work. We submitted a bid when the sealed bid process was requested. We attended the bid opening ceremony, and we were the lowest bidder, and we were believed to be in compliance. At that time, the second runner-up was a company here in Brownsville called SRS. All other bidders failed to submit their $500 bond, and therefore they were disqualified. Due to a complaint from a larger competitor, which I don't know who the name is, but I can suspect, that we're now being told that we're not in compliance and that they want to take this back out for opening again. I'm asking for the commission to table this item tonight and investigate why this is taking place. I'm a small business owner. Although I don't have a large retail showroom, I work just as hard, and I feel that we deserve justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gracia. Pastor or Reverend Alex Resendez. Please try to stay within 3 minutes, no personal attacks, and address the chair, please.
Yes, sir. I'll start with saying that the other pastor said that you get paid $10. I think that's too much money they're paying you guys. Como quiera que sea. My name is Alex Resendez, Reverend Alex Resendez. Pleased to meet you guys. I mean, you guys are doing a wonderful job. I have some pictures there. I would like for the people to see them. Primero, I want to say something. I was watching the television. Never in my whole life had I seen what I saw. I saw President Obama dancing with a beautiful Thalia, and she's supposed to be a Mexican artista. And she danced with the president right in the White House, and the mariachis, and era más mexicano la White House ya. I don't know what's going on really, because there used to be some Christians or whatever, they was very conservative. But now we had mariachis and Thalia dancing with the president. I don't know what you all think about that. But anyway, this is about La Calle Dana. I went over there to take some pictures because a guy that drives a bus, he said that he almost wrecked over there. He's got kids in the bus. I came here to see these people, you know, that they're making $10 a day or something, I don't know, $10 a week. And I said about a year ago, or a year and a half, les dije, we need a light, or we need something over there. I could not even take the picture, man. They almost ran over me. There's evil spirits all over the place I said a little prayer, and I ended up running away from there because I couldn't even park the car or get off the car or nada. That place is dangerous. I beg you guys, fight the state, do something. Hagan algo, por favor. You can see right there how many crosses. When I came over here, there was only, I think it was only 3 crosses. We got 3 more. Okay? I had a lady tell me also that que su hija ya mero had a wreck because she didn't know which way to go, and the cars, they drive real fast. Mira, look at all those cars, man. So I am concerned about that. But my greater concern is this. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Que $47 million, y que este, y que el otro. We can put one light there. You can fight the state, or you can fight for us on that. I'm asking you, please do something en esa area. Por favor, hagan algo. ¿Ok? Y si quieren bailar con Talía, pues invítenla.
Thank
Okay.
you, Mr.
Lord bless you
President.
guys.
City Secretary, I had asked for a new form to where it would deal with stuff like this, because some of this stuff, like, it doesn't apply to, it's the state highway. This stuff needs to be addressed before it gets here.
Yes, sir.
Can we get that form?
Right, we can get that form, but I think we need to amend the ordinance where that form was
Okay, well, then can you put it?
initiated so that we can make the changes that you're requesting.
Because it creates a perception that we're not doing, it's not, I mean, I'm
Right.
sure probably all the commissioners have tried to address that light problem there, but we're restricted from it. If he had taken the time to talk to traffic department, he would find out what the problems are before we create a perception that we're not doing nothing, you know?
Correct.
No, he's brought this up before, Mayor. I mean,
I
the sign.
know.
The
Our
sign's
hands are
been-
tied. Our hands are tied.
The traffic light's been approved by the state. We're waiting, hopefully in March, they'll
But
put
the
it up.
people they watch us at home, it looks like we're not doing nothing, you know? And it's not fair to come here and demand or attack or make it seem like the commission's not doing anything when we are trying to address it. But, no, but what I'm saying is, this, if you had sat down with the traffic department, they would tell you, this is a state highway. We cannot control when the state will allow us to put a light
But it's the
there.
city of Brownsville, Mayor. It's in the city.
But, Alex,
Do something, I don't know. That's your
what do you
problem.
want me to do? You know, I can't force the state. We can petition, we try.
Okay. How about somebody gets somebody killed there? Who's gonna sue, the
But all
state
I'm
or
saying
you?
is if
He's
sit
gonna sue the
down-
city of Brownsville,
if
and
you
we're
sit
gonna end
down-
up paying.
If you sit down with the traffic department, they'll explain to you the problem before you create a perception that we're not
Mr.
doing it.
Attorney, isn't there a certain kind of law that if the city
Okay.
has a big hole or is
Yeah,
doing
they're out
something
of order.
wrong,
Let's go on to the
they're
next
violating
item.
the rights of the citizens, isn't there a certain kind of law to protect the
Please
citizens?
sit down with the
from
traffic
you all, what
department,
you all are
Mr.
doing, that you all
Resendez.
are not listening and putting a light there?
Item 12, City
Because when
Secretary.
somebody does get killed, he can come and sue you.
Item 12.
Item 12, presentation and acknowledgement of the Brownsville Convention and Visitors Bureau Quarterly Report.
Thank you. My name is Mariano Ayala, President and CEO of the Brownsville Convention and Visitors Bureau. Mr. Mayor, Honorable City Commissioners, City Manager. First of all, they always say never start with an apology, but I'm going to buck the system. I want to apologize to you as a commission. I should have been here in January doing this. My timing was off. Spoke with City Manager Kabler, and he told me January, and when I called him, it was too late. The last agenda had already been set. So I apologize to you. I should have been here last month. This will not happen again because now I understand the timing posting something. I've never posted an agenda item. This is a report on the first quarter of the year. I'm not one to be negative, but I am a realist. It was real hard to listen to the gentleman that owns those shopping centers and to hear the hard times they're going through. And it also affects the tourist industry. We're kind of in a tough situation here along the border because perception is reality to a lot of people. First of all, we had the economic situation hit us a couple of years ago. Then we had the flu. Then the violence that is portrayed along the border. A lot of people think we're right next to Juarez. And then the mayor brought up something like the Humane Society coming to do a story, a national report or something. All these are things that affect our area. But even with that, I'm proud to say I'm from Brownsville because we have so much to offer. But we need to stand united like United Brownsville. The rest of the citizens need to stand united. The first thing we do at the Convention Visitors Bureau at the beginning of the year is we try to promote our efforts in Mexico. We try to take advantage of the Mexican tourists coming to spend during the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we went ahead and advertised over $24,000 in Mexican newspapers, San Luis Potosí, Monterrey, Tampico, and Victoria. I have a letter here from Ms. Veronica Baca from Sunrise Mall that said that December sales were up almost 3%. Strong results for the holidays were fueled by the steady peso compared to the 08 devaluations. Increases in spending from Mexican nationals visiting from Monterrey, Tampico, Ciudad Victoria, San Luis, and Mexico City. So it looks like our advertising is helping. How I can prove this with hard facts, it's real difficult, but at least we feel that our efforts are working. Other things we're trying with Mexico, we're trying to work a monthly tour with Transpais, where they will bring a bus full of tourists from the 4 cities mentioned. We're also trying to establish a Destino Querétaro, Destino Saltillo, Destino Victoria. That's where we have people from their cities come to Brownsville, set up shop, whether it's hotels, marketers, and what have you, and hopefully we start a city-to-city tourism highway. One of the efforts we try to do is reestablish our sister city relationships with San Miguel de Allende. I'm glad to say that I got a call on Monday from the assistant of the new mayor of San Miguel. She will be, sounds 90% sure she will be here to celebrate Shower Days and reestablish the communication now with the new mayor and her cabinet. So I feel good about our efforts in Mexico. We have a lot of work to do, but at least this is a good beginning. The last effort with Mexico is in December, I was approached by CBS Sports. They have a Mr. John Sinski who works in CBS Sports. He and 3 other fellow Michigan State football players adopted Ciudad de los Niños de Matamoros Orphanage. And because of that, they ride their bicycles to Matamoros, all 4 of them, and they also ride them back. What they had a story done on this man. We had a couple of places here in Brownsville was filmed. Hopefully Brownsville will come out in the documentary that's going to be presented right before the Super Bowl. So we're hoping, and I'm going to record it. I hope you all pay attention. But we, the city of Brownsville, hopefully will be shown and mentioned right before the Super Bowl, the largest audience for a sporting event involving football. If it doesn't happen, at least the dream was there. Other things, working here within our own region. I'm glad to say that we're working with the BEDC, Brownsville Economic Development. They had people from China, Russia, some writers come in. We were part of that entourage. We went to the island. We gave them a tour of the historic events and what have you. Gilbert Salinas sent out an email to, I believe, all of you, where the lady from China wrote a very, very good article on the historic aspect of Brownsville, and hopefully that will help us with tourism. The other thing that we're working with BEDC is that Mr. Salinas had noticed, and I noticed, an article at the McAllen Monitor, where the McAllen Chamber of Commerce is doing they're trying to unite all of the businesses in McAllen and work closely with Monterrey and what have you. We would like to work together with the Chamber, BEDC, and whoever else would like to join us through the efforts of BEDC and become united in our efforts with Mexico. The Midi-Culture District is another organization we're working closely with. And as a matter of fact, I have brochures from the Midi-Culture District. Ms. Cortez apologizes. She forgot to give you all one of the brochures, so she asked me if I would present it to you all. So if you would go ahead and give it to them. This is the brochure that we give out at trade shows and what have you, and make bulk mail. We've also visited with Pat Birchfield at the zoo. We're going to come up with a cooperative effort to bring in more tourism into Brownsville via the zoo. I've also spoken with Mr. Jim McNeil and his the Tennis Association, getting ready to bring the professional tennis pro tournament here to Brownsville. And then in June, they'll bring in the women's professional tournament. I'm happy to say in the last few months, we've worked real hard with the police department, the Chief of Police Garcia, Commander Arvitia. In June of this year, we're going to have 1,200 to 1,500 law enforcement officers come to Brownsville and to South Padre Island. 2 years ago, South Padre Island was the host city. Brownsville will be the host city, and I'm glad to say we were having a tough time finalizing a host hotel here in Brownsville. We were close to losing it to the island, but I'm glad that the Holiday Inn came through. So Brownsville will be the host city, and it will be held at the Holiday Inn, the registration and what have you. I want to thank the City Parks and Recreation for working very closely with us, Mr. Chris Patterson and Tuffy Martinez with BCIC. Very good job, great team effort. We're talking 1,200 to 1,500 people. The beauty of this is that we have to have a great sales performance because we don't want them to come down here for those 5 days. We want them to come back over and over and over. This is a great opportunity to showcase Brownsville. I also went to Nashville in December. The purpose of my trip to Nashville, once again, I want to thank Tuffy Martinez with the Brownsville Sports Park. He provided me with a brochure showcasing the sports park. The reason for this trip was to go to the National Association of Fast Pitch for ladies. Over 1,000 coaches were at this conference. Mr. Denny Gilbertson, who represents Texas Gulf Coast Splash. What we're trying to do is start a spring break national fast pitch tournament here in Brownsville. This will last a month to 5 to 6 weeks. Can you imagine having 20 or 30 teams come in every week for 5 or 6 weeks? That's what we're trying to do here. The other thing is we're trying to work, working closely with BISD. I visited with the superintendent, and he has redirected me to the new athletic director, and I've missed him, Coach Tom Chavez, where we're going to approach him to see if we can bring in a junior college or NAIA or a Division III basketball tournament. The island at this time has a Division I. Hopefully we'll come in with a lower division and have our own tournament here in Brownsville, but we will need some good-sized gyms, and that's where the school district comes into play. Another thing that we're doing, and we're very excited about, Mr. Commissioner Longoria, I want to congratulate you on this effort. I've been working with Ms. Lopez and her group at Riverside Kickball since 6 months ago, and I know you've worked with them very closely. Happy to say that the Riverside Kickball has won the state kickball tournament to be held here at Gonzalez Park in July. We're looking at bringing in anywhere between 2,000 to 4,000 kids. Just to give you an example, Hampton, or one of the, besides Hampton, we've already sent off RFPs to all the hotels and motels. They're well aware, Hampton, Holiday Inn, et cetera, et cetera. One of the hotels has already booked 120 rooms for that week. We're talking all 5 days. So once again, this is a very good effort between Commissioner Longoria, Parks and Recreation, and Tuffy Martinez. And the reason I keep mentioning them, I don't think they get enough credit. I want people of Brownsville to know that we do work together. The beauty of it, if one person comes up with an idea, now you're seeing everybody calling each other, we're meeting, and we're making sure that it works for the benefit of the whole city, and we all take credit. To give you an idea of things that have happened at the Visitors Bureau, for the first quarter, people that have walked into the Bureau, for the month of October, we had 686. For the November, 704. December, 884. For a total of 2,274 walk-ins. That gives an average of 758 persons a month. This is low by about 150 compared to other years. But at least they're still coming in. In other words, we're not completely forgotten. Bulk mail, big effort. Through the efforts of using Parade magazine on Sundays, Tour Texas, See Texas First, we have gotten direct requests from people with their addresses for bulk mail where we send them brochures of all types about Brownsville. In October, 4,423. November, 2,300. December, 2,300, for a total in the first quarter of 9,000. Direct mailings, an average of 3,000 per month. This is done by my staff manually. And you know what? We're excited to do it. We're proud to do it. Another way we're keeping tabs on people visiting our webpage, I have here what we have direct visits to our webpage from the worldwide in the first quarter. We had 15,000 hits, 1,000 of them coming from Mexico, 621 from Canada. From the United States, in the first 3 months, we have 12,780 hits. Most of them, 7,000 within the state of Texas. If you remember in my presentation, the PowerPoint, I told you that 53% of people that come to Brownsville come from within the state of Texas, and this goes hand in hand with that figure. So we've got 12,780 hits, from the United States, with California, Texas 7,000, California 500, Florida 300, New York 315. So at least people from around the United States are looking into Brownsville. The state of, and this was 51%, my bad, not 53. This is 53, Texas. 7,200 hits. McAllen hit us 2,000 times. McAllen want to know what we're doing. What that means is they're coming to Brownsville to shop, to go to the zoo, to eat at our restaurants. Houston, 450, San Antonio, 370, Austin, 320, Dallas, 280. Mexico, for the first quarter, we had 1,000 hits. Monterrey, 194, Mexico City, 174, Ciudad Madero, 97. So at least we're getting some hits. It's not as high as we would like to, but it goes with a trend that a lot of people are not traveling like they used to due to the economic situation. I'm here to answer any questions. Those are the highlights for the quarter. I try to give you data. I could provide copies to the city secretary to provide you at a later date. So,
Mayor, I have a question, comment.
Commissioner.
Bean, you said you're going to provide some information of your
Yes.
presentation. I don't know if it was in our packet, but I didn't see it.
no, I just finalized all this today.
No problem.
Yes,
One comment I would make, and
Yes, sir.
you're doing a lot of great work. I appreciate everything you're doing, Bean. It's, you know, I know we tasked you to do more with less, and so it's always very difficult. But I really commend your leadership and the board that it's obviously doing some real good work. Our golf course, the city's golf course. Obviously, as you know, each and every year we continuously have to subsidize it, and whatever we could do to bring down a tournament for the golf course and to keep that in the back of our minds, along with the sports park, but mainly because we want to get this golf course, doing better. Maybe not put it in black, but get close each and every year. So whatever efforts we could make to say, hey, we do have our city-owned golf course. I know we're always competing with Rancho Viejo and Westlaco and the island and the courses that we have here in Brownsville, but whatever we can do to kind of help, and I know Parks is working on some things, I think that'd be great for us.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Well, thanks for all the work you do.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Zamora?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for your very thorough report. This was my intention to let people know exactly what the CVB is doing, because
Yes,
there's a big misconception out there that the CVB and all CVBs in general are not warranted in this community, and we need it. And I think that you've proven that today, and I'm very happy to see that. I do have a few comments.
Yes, ma'am.
One on United Brownsville. I was specifically asked to be a tri-chair
Yes, ma'am.
of the Tourism and Hospitality Committee, and I was not aware that you were not included in that. So I'd like to ask you to be part of the team. I think it's very important that you are part of the group as as president of the CVB.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm probably going to be asking our chamber president as well to join us. But I want you to know that the exclusion was unintentional, and I apologize on behalf of Imagine Brownsville.
First of all, Commissioner, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for kind of opening my eyes to the needs of these figures, because it's very important for the people, and like you say, a lot of CVBs go through the same, but I appreciate your input during the summer, and it's been a great help. And just an FYI, Mr. Fred Rustenberg and Mr. Carlos Marin did call me and they asked me for forgiveness for their oversight, and I appreciate what you just said, and I definitely will be a part of the United Brownsville.
Okay, I have a few more comments.
sir.
I have been asked to work on developing a sports authority board.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want you to assist with that as well. It sounds like you are doing some of the efforts that the board would request of the CVB and of our sports park and of our parks and recreation departments, and I want you to be part of that as well
I
in
will be-
devising the bylaws.
I would be honored to be a part of your team, ma'am.
Thank you. And I have been contacted by someone I used to work with on South Padre, GJ Reina,
Oh, yes.
of Bike Fest. And because they are taking less trips to Mexico, they are looking to have an alternative venue, and I suggested that we do something here in Brownsville, maybe at the sports park. So we can
Thank
work
you.
with
I would
that.
like to get his phone number if I could visit with you at a later
Mhm.
date. Appreciate that.
And one more thing on occupancy numbers. I'd like to know in your, forthcoming reports, some revenue numbers on occupancy tax as compared to previous years.
I have
Did
it
I
right
miss
here.
that? Okay.
I have it here if you want me to mention them.
Well, it would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, and I get this from the city for the month, and this is the latest ones they provided me was through the month of November. We had a fiscal year 2009, $226,488. 2000 and right now we're minus 23.3% as of November.
are down.
Minus 23.3, and these are the figures I get from the city. And I provide this to my board of directors. And as a matter of fact, while I said board of directors, I'd just like to introduce my new board chairman, Ms. Gwen Benton. And I do have another board person here, Mr. Daniel Tequirina is present. So, yes, ma'am, I do have these figures on a monthly basis, and I will provide them to you when I make a quarterly report. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the commission?
I got one.
Commissioner Atkinson?
Going back to the Sports Authority, and you and I have been talking about it for a long
Yes, sir.
time, and I've talked to Commissioner Zamora about it. I think there's ways to we can provide a lot of heads and beds, as they say, for the hotels. If we,
Yes, sir.
Everybody's doing this across the nation. I wish each commissioner could go to some of these Sports Authority conventions, man. They're outrageous, man. They're just thousands and thousands of people. The teams conference,
Teams,
there's
exactly.
literally a huge convention full of people deciding where to put big events for fast pitch girls, girls fast pitch, soccer, you name it, any sports you can think of. There's a convention that is held, a national convention. I think we should all just see it once so you can see how important it is to have a sports authority, because it links, like he said with that fast pitch girls, having 20 teams a week for 5 weeks, that helps the hotels, because every hotel owner that I talk to tells me they're hurting bad. I mean, they're hurting big time. And that's where we generate sales tax and hotel motel tax to provide for these nonprofit museums, the zoo, and all that. So if the hotels are hurting, that means there's less money for all these nonprofits and other organizations that we support. So I'm glad Commissioner Zamora brought it up, and I think that's something that needs to be done. And we need to talk to our finance director. He's not here, right? And to get the funding, because there is right now the sports park is generating $40,000 to $50,000, whether it's every 6 months or a year. No, more than that. I think it's more. It's like 50,000 every 2 months. I want to say that. So if we can use that money and channel it toward a sports authority instead of putting it back to the general fund, the sports park will pay for itself. But we need to find ways to do that and to give you, because to go to a convention like that, you got to promote. So you need funding to go to these places and do that. So we're going to help you with that.
May I say something else? Pertaining to sports, Commissioner Zamora, I attended the TACB Midwinter Educational Conference, and one of the sessions I attended to, and I sit on the advisory board for the Parks and Recreation, and Mr. Chris Patterson mentioned it. It's the National Association in April. Sports Commission. It's coming up in April. This is the same as teams, but in a higher level in the sense that teams are organizations are looking to see where they can put their tournaments, okay? And they try to match cities. The National Association of Sports Commission, they're the ones that already have these tournaments available. What they want to do is, for instance, I asked them at the midwinter conference, they need to come and do a study of our city. And it's going to cost some money. But the reason they have to come and do a study of our city, because then they're going to match us with the right tournaments. So in other words, we're not just going to go to their conference and just sit there. We'll be able to sit face to face with the right organizers to bring the right tournaments to Brownsville. So that's coming up in April, and I think Chris might attend, and I won't be able to, but I know he's going to. So that's a good point.
Commissioners should go. I think you should check that out. Awesome.
Mr. Ayala, this is an observation only. I think Brownsville has the most or the biggest ecological corridor in the region, okay? And the most to offer as far as people who are into the environment, either fauna or endangered species or birding, and we also have a world-renowned zoo. I mean, nobody else in the region has what we have. In 1990, in the early 90s, we did something that I think nobody in the nation has done. We designated the Mexican red-headed parrot as the city mascot, the city bird, okay? And we even passed an ordinance because back then they were endangered because they were being killed by people with BB guns and stuff like that. We passed an ordinance to protect them as a city bird. But I see where other communities are taking the lead in calling themselves as a birding capital and stuff like that, when we should be taking the lead. And I see them promoting our Mexican red-headed parrot as something for them to, showcase in their city, when we're the ones that should be the ones taking the lead with that. Because we're the ones that did it. We're the ones that protected the birds when there were few in numbers back then in the 90s. And I don't know, we need to find a way to get the message out. Apparently it's not getting out because Harlingen and McAllen and other areas, they're doing what creating a perception that is totally misleading when you compare to what Brownsville has to offer as compared to them. I think we got more to offer than they do. And this is the birding capital, even though it doesn't have the designation. We need to promote that, market that.
I'll
That's
look
just
into
an
that for you, sir.
observation.
I'll look into that for you, sir.
Because I think that's a big industry that brings a lot of money. Any other questions? Acknowledge? Can we have a motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Zamora, second by Commissioner Troyani to acknowledge. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Item
Thank you.
13. Thank you.
Thank you, Bean.
Item 13.
Item 13, consideration and action regarding the use of city streets at the end of Palm Boulevard at the intersection of Mexico Boulevard in the former Amigo Land area for the 73rd Annual Char Days 20th Century Rides Carnival from February 22nd through March 9th, 2010 for carnival equipment parking.
Mayor Commission, this is our yearly request for the streets to be utilized for the activities that occur during the Char
Do we
Days
have a motion
festivities.
for this?
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Troyani, second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any questions? Commissioner Atkinson?
I'd like to ask what we're doing, and trust me, I support the Char Days 100%, but I'm going to be the bad guy here. The carnival generates a lot of revenue for the Char. It's a Char Days committee. It's a Char Days Association. They're a nonprofit, right?
Yes,
They use the streets, parking lots. They use a lot of the police officers. Do they pay a fee to the city for all these things that the city provides for them? Because I know they generate, just the parking alone that they charge during the carnival being there generates a lot of revenue.
Well,
Are we capturing anything back as far?
They hand the parking over to other nonprofit organizations, I believe, that maintain that funding for themselves.
But
no, we don't make any revenue off the event.
Well, I know we use additional police force and possibly EMS or fire, and I know other entities actually charge a fee to event organizers for the utilization of additional city resources.
That's correct. Now, what we did structure a fee structure that's just recently been approved in relation to events that occur within our city, within our properties. For example, Sombrero Fest, and now they have agreed and they have come to the city commission, and they are going to pay us a fee. But we have not done anything with the other participants that participate during the events. There's I think 3 organizations that participate in the Char Day events. And it is correct that it is our understanding that they get a percentage from the carnival grounds, and that's given to the Char Days Incorporated.
I'd like to ask a question. Maybe you know this answer. Sombrero Fest weekend. All the police officers are almost mandated to show up, and they're all on full force. They all work overtime. I mean, they're putting in 16-hour days during these 3 days. How much does that cost to the citizens of Brownsville?
We budget for Char Days every year. I don't have the exact numbers, but we go to 12-hour shifts, 2 shifts of 12 hours.
And why? Is that still a necessity?
We don't, I think we've cut back a lot on it over the years, but yes, it is a necessity. We have to go to 12-hour shifts because we have to have patrol officers responding to all the activity that occur in our city other than the events. And then we have to have officers that are working, for example, walking downtown, taking care of intersections and eventually directing traffic when it's needed in our
So they don't compensate us to alleviate the burden on city taxes and,
city taxes?
I mean, just us having to pay for that.
You still haven't given me a number.
What number did you ask for?
The number, the amount of money it takes. Overtime.
Well, it's
everybody on full force.
I'd have to look at the budget books to see exactly how much we budget, and I'm not sure the police.
Do you know off the top of your head?
But
and we've been doing it every year. We should have that. We should know that number.
Well, we're talking when we go to 12-hour shifts and every officer's working. We're talking overtime. We're talking a few $100,000. Yeah,
a few $100,000
for the 3 or 4 day events. The 3 or 4 days that we're on 12-hour shifts. Now we've cut back on Sunday, where we used to also work on Sunday 12-hour shifts. Sunday we start cutting back, and we go back basically to regular shifts on Sunday.
What I would like to see
for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we are at 99% of our officers are on duty.
What I would like to see is the number of calls that are generated from Thursday to Saturday. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I want to see how many calls PD gets on those 3 days as compared to spring break or.
But that's not the way to measure it. You can't measure it because the fact that presence deters the calls being made. It's the calls that are not being made that we should look at, because without their presence, we'd have chaos.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the value is. And also, in all fairness, all these entities, they bring something to the community because they promote the community. It's an event that brings in revenue indirectly, maybe not directly, but indirectly, because there is nonprofit organizations or helping other entities with their sales of tacos and cokes and stuff like that. So everybody benefits as a community. Now, should they pay something to help us offset the escalating costs? Well, it's not fair to single out Char Days because we do a lot for Mr. Amigo too.
Right.
I mean, a whole lot.
Yeah.
And we have no voice or vote on that organization. They do it all themselves, and we're given tickets to go, but we have no say-so in it. We have no say-so who Mr. Amigo's going to be. We have no say-so what they're going to do. We have no say-so whatsoever. So it's not fair to single out just Char Days, because I think it takes all these entities to put this 3-day event that in a way, somehow the city indirectly benefits in many ways.
And I agree with you on a sense where you mentioned the key word, nonprofit, where I see Mr. Amigo not make a lot of revenue off Mr. Amigo, where Sombrero Fest might bring in $375,000 in 3 days. And every year, their coffers are getting bigger and bigger. They're able to bring in more and more high-profile entertainers, and I applaud them for that. But my question goes back, what is it incurring to the citizens of Brownsville where they can make a donation or a fee to use all these police officers during that time?
Well, you got a point, the mayor's got a point. We need the events to continue to bring in revenue and things like that, people to visit our city. And you know, 4 or 5 years ago, and I think the chief will attest to this, we started looking at the overtime rate for officers staying 12 hours. So we basically try to maintain 8-hour shifts. It used to be we were at 12-hour shifts day and night, I mean, for 3 or 4 days. Now we go to 8-hour shifts, and we monitor that. And we have 8-hour shifts for patrol officers that are handling daily calls, and we also have 8-hour shifts for people that are walking downtown. What necessitates us having downtown people, downtown officers, downtown beats is the parades. We need officers at each and every intersection to handle the parade route, to assure that the parade goes through smoothly, and we don't have, for example, vehicles entering or somebody getting run over or things like that. So that's what really hampers. Now, the carnival does pay officers to work within the confines of the carnival, and they pay them out of their pockets. So some of the officers are working at the carnival grounds, and they're not working for the city, they're working for the carnival. So the carnival is paying a lot of our officers to work there. Sombrero Fest handles a lot of their security. They have a lot of security officers during their 2 or 3 day event. So I think we've really reduced the amount of overtime during that time, and we don't want the officers to be working day and night, 12 hours or even longer due to fatigue and things like that. So I think we really have controlled that. So it's working a lot better the way we do it now.
Well, we also have a lot of volunteers. Commissioner Gowan?
I think it's important to not post not-for-profit organizations in a negative light if they're doing a great service for the community. And I don't know much about Sombrero Fest, but I do know that the Charo Days organization, correct me if I'm wrong, does a great number of things throughout the season, like visiting and performing for old folks' homes and schools and such of that. It's not just the day of the parade or the carnival. So I think we have to be careful with that, because they do all of that without charging any of us to go there. So I do think that they bring a great deal in tourism here, and they provide a great service during the whole season, not just that carnival.
Yeah, and I'm not just picking on Charo Days, I'm just talking about
Well, it's
all
good.
in general.
It's valid what you're saying. Commissioner Longoria? It's something that I think everybody's
the fee structure that we developed in relation to activities at our parks applies to Sombrero, because they are utilizing our park, which is Washington Park.
Out of order.
But it doesn't relate to people. The carnival is not on city property.
And it just comes back to the budget and how
Commissioner Atkinson.
Can I interrupt you both?
Commissioner LaGuardia has the floor.
This action item is to let the trailers park. If we want to have this discussion, let's post it as something else. The discussion is just to let the trailers park. So why don't we just get it over with and decide we're going to let the trailers park at the end of Palm Boulevard?
And we can have, the city wants a piece of the gate on the next meeting.
His question was on the overtime about all that stuff. Okay, does anybody else have any comments? Okay, thank you.
No.
And I want to say this, whether we agree or don't agree how things go in every entity, we welcome and value everybody that puts together PD, Charo Day, Sombrero Fest, Mr. Amigo. They make our city shine.
Well, yeah, well, I know if we're off topic, Commissioner Longoria is correct, but I must say that it's other departments, traffic department, a lot of departments get together, health department in relation to Charo Days. All of us coordinate that. Obviously, vendors and things like that have to get health permits. So it's a team effort in relation to the most of the departments within the city.
Thank you. I just wish the entry fees weren't so high. Okay, this is an action item. Can we have approval? We have a motion by Commissioner Gowan and second by Commissioner Zamora. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item 14.
Item 14, consideration and action to authorize a 60-day review on the design and work progress of the Brownsville Multimodal Terminal for the Brownsville urban system.
Mayor, if I may, I placed this on the agenda. I've spoken with Mr. Kabler. He said that the city staff was going to do an internal review, and I'd asked that this be moved to the next meeting date.
I think it's a good move there. Can you table it, make a motion to table?
I'm making a motion to table, well, not table, but to move, pass it to the next meeting date.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All
Nope.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 15,
Item 15, consideration and action on the acknowledgement and receipt of grant funds from the Texas State Library and Archives Commission in the amount of $51,246 for the provision of items for the library system.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Jerry Hedgecock, Director of the Public Information Services Department. The Brownsville Public Library System, for the 7th year in a row, has received grant funds from the Texas State Library and Archives Commission in the amount of $51,246. These funds have been allotted for items for the main library's children's department. We're asking for your authorization to proceed with this.
Move to approve.
we have a motion for, let me call for the motion. We have a motion
Sorry.
for Commissioner Longoria. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Troyani. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hitchcock. Item 16,
Item 16, consideration and action to authorize Brownsville Police Department to accept the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Number SU09-A10-22248-01 from the Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Division for fiscal year 2010 in the amount of $66,179.88.
Mayors, members of the City Commission, good evening. This is a grant award that Commissioner Camarillo mentioned earlier in the meeting. It's a grant in the amount of $66,179.88. And our proposal at the time that we submitted this grant was to purchase radios, to continue to upgrade our radio system to be compatible with a P25 system that we're mandated to be federally in compliance by 2014.
okay, this is an action item. Can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Longoria. I have a second by Commissioner Troyani. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 17,
Item 17, consideration and action to authorize Mr. Charlie Kabler, City Manager, to apply for the Texas Automobile Burglary and Theft Prevention Authority Supplemental Grant for fiscal year 2010.
Again, this is authority to authorize Mr. Kabler to apply for this grant in the amount of, I think I have the amount here. $67,271. It's a supplemental grant. There is no cash match on this. It would be for the purchase of 2 vehicles, 7 radios, and some other vehicle accessories.
okay, this is an action item. Can I have a
Move to
motion?
approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Troyani, second by Commissioner Longoria. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 18,
Thank you.
thank you.
Item 18, consideration and action to authorize amendment number 5 to the Brownsville Urban System Site Storm Sewer Utility Package for the Brownsville Multimodal Terminal Project.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Commission. Staff recommendation is to authorize amendment number 5 to the Brownsville Urban System Site Storm Sewer Utility Package for the alternate bid for May Street for the Brownsville Multimodal Terminal, known as the BMT project, to Spall Glass Contractors Incorporated of Harlingen, Texas, for a total GMP amount or guaranteed maximum price in the amount of $2,244,148. Now, this amendment 5 is for $246,035. This is for site storm sewer utility package for the Brownsville multimodal facility, and this is strictly for the May Street package. The completion for these renovations will be 184 consecutive calendar days as per the project specifications. And the funding for this alternate component under Amendment 5, which is reinstated Amendment 1, for the site storm sewer utility package will be coming 100%, it will be reimbursed 100% by the university. And also, they have an interlocal agreement between the City of Brownsville and the University of Texas at Brownsville, Texas, Alamos College. And this interlocal agreement was approved by the Board of Trustees on January the 22nd, 2010.
Okay, this is an action item.
Move to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner
Second.
Atkinson. Can I have a second? Commissioner Longoria. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 19.
Item 19, consideration and action to reject bids received for a term contract for purchase and delivery of trophies and awards for city departments for the city of Brownsville.
Staff recommendation for this particular procurement is to reject the bids that were received for this contract for the purchase and delivery of trophies and awards.
Why is
for the
that,
city of Brownsville.
Robert? I mean,
The reason why we're recommending rejecting these bids, if you look on your package on the tab sheet at the end, most of the submittals or the companies submitting bids did not include a bid bond as part of the, it was a requirement.
But was there a bidder that complied with everything?
Well, this is what I have so far. The only bidder so far, and I need to make a corrections to SRS Advertising. I contact the Building Inspections Department, Leo Garza and Evaristo Games, to check on their COs, just to make sure that all these companies comply with their CO to have an established business. And the only one so far that has a CO that submitted a bid bond is SRS Advertising. I know on the bid tab we were saying that it didn't have a CO. The thing is, the name that appears on the CO, it's a little bit different, but the usage of the company is the same. For advertising, on the CO it says electrical sign company, but but the purpose of this CO or the usage is for advertising, CO, a printing shop. They deal with all of those services. Now, the reason why I'm recommending rejecting these bids is because the whole purpose of this contract was to have a primary vendor, a secondary vendor, and a tertiary vendor, just in case if one was not available, if one was not able to supply the goods and services, then we have the secondary.
Robert, that puts the people at a disadvantage if the bids are already known. That's not fair.
Yes.
I mean, that really, really hurts anybody that went through the trouble, complied, and did everything, and they're the lowest bidder, and then now all of a sudden the rug's pulled from under them, and now everybody gets to see his bid or her bid, and it puts them at a disadvantage.
I understand that, Mayor. The thing
So
is,
let me ask you this: if we have a primary bidder that complied, you don't have a secondary or
tertiary vendor. No,
we don't have that. Why don't you? Is there any way to, from what you got already, just make a decision?
So
From what you already have as far as secondary and not primary, as secondary and third.
if you look on the tab sheet, if you look at the prices, we have it by colors. The primary was in blue, secondary was in green, and the tertiary was in red. If you look on the third column, I don't know if you can focus.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, they will be the only ones that have the complete line items, but the price is not the lowest. So it's at the discretion of the commission to make a decision on whether or not we award a contract based on those numbers only. Now, you got to understand that since we're spending taxpayers' money, we need to look at the best price there is.
But at the same time, we have to be fair. The American way
That
is
is
to be
correct.
fair.
We have the right to waive any formalities or technicalities as long as we
And
are
everybody
in
is
the best
entitled to make
interest
a
of the
living
city.
and make a profit, but as long as it's fair and they follow the process, they should not be penalized. Commissioner Ackerson, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say something. Then the one who got the Valley trophies.
Valley Trophy Services, the reason why they're disqualified.
Hold on, real quick. They're a new company, right? They just bought what's her name? Lou Gracia.
Gracia.
She just bought this company, right?
I don't have that information.
Did you just buy this company? For 1 year, this place has been open, and you work out of your house, right? Okay.
That's what I'm going to cover right now.
That should not be held against her.
No, if I may, the reason why we disqualify Valley Trophy Services is because the address that appears on the bid solicitation, it's 827 North Central Avenue. When running a background check on the CO, she doesn't have a CO to have a business out of that location. That's a daycare.
Yep.
Is that a requirement?
That's a technicality.
Well,
Or is it preference?
well,
That's a technicality.
it is, I don't want to call it a technicality. The thing is, everybody needs to comply with our own rules and regulations. I mean, you need to have a CO when you open a business.
You got the lowest bid from them, and you're protecting the taxpayers, and now you're opening it, you're gutting them out because of a technicality.
Well, it's not a technicality.
It's
They're
not.
supposed to have a CO, a business address. We need, the city attorney just brought forth on those pay loans, we need control. We need people to have a CO. We need to have people to have an address that we know they're an established business. We know that if something happens, we know where to go find them. If they have an address at their home, well, that's not a CO. Is that location a residential address within an area where there's supposed to be a business run or not? We'll get complaints about the fact that they're running a
But
business
that can be
out of
easily
a home.
corrected, that could easily be corrected.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, she can bid
That's why we
again.
want to rebid, because it can be easily corrected.
You want to address that?
First of all, our residence is just outside the city limits, and according to the county, we are not required to have a CO. And I know that other companies from outside of Brownsville also bid on this project as well. So I don't think it should be held against me that I am outside the city of Brownsville. The other thing is that back on July of 2008, I had a visit by Mr. Jaime Valdez, building inspector, insinuating that we were making trophies in our daycare business. I met with Mr. Omar Ochoa, told him we were making trophies in our home, talked to him about what the requirements were. He stated specifically that as long as customers are not coming to our door, we do not have a commercial sign out front, we are allowed to have a home-based business. Okay, that was one. Where we live at is just outside the city limits. According to Mr. Benavides of the county, we are not required to have a CO.
Who's Mr.
So
Benavides?
Mr. Benavides is in charge of the Cameron County. So I got his name from Mr. Gomez.
Your business is in my district.
Which
You're on
is
Central Avenue.
Central Avenue is a child care center.
City, it's right there.
And
It's
it
right
has
by
a
McKenzie
CO.
Road.
But again, we
That's not-
receive
that's
both.
not outside the city-
We
city.
receive both personal mail as well as mail for our other businesses
not.
at that location. We are inspected every 6 months by the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We are checked on everything. We do not run a trophy business inside that location.
You
I've
are in
invited
city
them
limits.
to come and take a look at it. I mean, what would be the difference if I have a post office box for my mailing address? Your bid form does not say physical or mailing. It just says address. Well, since I'm there at the child care center in the afternoon, I receive my mail at that location for security purposes.
And you've been doing business with the city under the same address?
Yes, sir. We
for a
bought the
year?
business from Valley Tin Shooters, who has been in business for over 25 years. Mr. Buhanas is still helping us. He is on our, with us as an
So
advisor.
this company's been doing business for 25
And
years?
we've been doing business with the city of Brownsville for more than 1 year.
She hasn't been doing
Wait,
business
this
with the company.
specific trophy?
Yes, ma'am.
business
This
has had
specific
business
trophy
since-
business, VTS, has done your awards for more than a year. We've done your tackle football. We've done all of your awards for the Parks and Recreation.
I just find this very unfortunate.
And like I said, I mean, I clarified this with Mr. Luna in December. I thought this was a dead issue because he told me this is being brought up by an anonymous person who keeps coming forward saying this. Well, I thought it was rectified in 2008. I went through the proper channels. Now here it comes again, and I can't help but wonder why this anonymous person keeps coming and
Yeah,
creating these
because
problems.
they're envious and they want to bring you down. That's what it is.
Well, the bottom
not
line is,
bad.
sir,
She's in the city limits.
we do not have the I believe in free enterprise. If somebody puts in $1 million showroom for trophies, I admire them, I welcome to them. I would rather service my customers at their place of location, which we deliver to the Parks and Recreation all the time, and the city of Brownsville. As a matter of fact, last weekend, we had to do plaques on a rush order, recognizing the football team. So again, the thing is that we would rather not have a fancy showroom, give you low prices and give you good quality and service. And I don't think we should be penalized for that, and I'm wondering why this issue keeps coming up.
Who benefits from you being disqualified?
Well, if I was disqualified, SRS is the second runner-up. But I believe it's coming from a person who failed to put their $500 bid inside the package and was disqualified. And again, now all of our prices are out in the open. It kind of defeats the purpose of having sealed bids.
Who's seen them?
Commissioner Trani?
Robert, what is the problem with awarding the bid to Valley Trophy Service and then asking for new bids for your second and tertiary providers? You've already got somebody who's complied with everything other than the CO, which is a technicality based on location. She says she's operating out of the house. She's already talked to your staff on that. So since she's already opened the bids, she's at a disadvantage. And the whole point of a sealed bid is to make this a private process.
I guess at this point, everybody will be in disadvantage, but you got to understand the address that was submitted with the sealed bid, it's showing that it's inside city limits. Therefore, she needs to comply with city ordinance.
Correct it, Robert.
That's why you got to reject it.
Well, it's like if I say.
Do you want us to vote on it, Robert? I'll move the question.
Okay,
No, go
if
ahead,
I may,
go ahead,
just
go
the
ahead,
last words.
go ahead.
If we're talking about technicalities, if you're calling a CO a technicality, well, then we can say that the person that didn't submit a bid bond, it's a technicality.
No, I've got I've got a lot of issues with technicalities, because if we want to start here, we can sit here, we can move over to some other departments, and we can start talking about some home issues, and we can start talking about all sorts of things. And if we're going to start drawing lines, we need to start doing that. And so my concern here is you've got people who, and the lines get drawn where they will on different occasions. We've got a person who participated in the process, participated in the sealed bid process, was the low bidder, and now they're being canked because, oh, well, they didn't meet this other criteria, which had nothing to do initially with where they registered their address, because they've been registering their address, I'm sure, there for years, okay? And so if we're going to put people on notice, we need to put them on notice now that we're going to follow all the rules, and that goes across the boards. The mayor was talking about the payday loan issue. I mean, if we wanted to sit here and nitpick on the things that happen here, you know, we could be here for days.
Exactly.
Okay, Commissioner, you can make, wait a second. You can make the motion approving this.
No, you can't.
And-
It's
and- yes, you
reject.
can.
It
Yes,
doesn't
you
have a
can. You can
motion to
make-
approve. It's not a motion to approve.
I can vote against rejecting it.
You can make the motion to approve the bidder and put the criteria to where they go out to bid for the second and third. You can do that.
Let me ask a question real quick. I'll give you an instance. GT Sports. They probably didn't have a bond, right? A $500. This GT Sports does business with BISD every week, every other day. They've never asked him for a $500 bond.
I'm not worried about
Okay,
the bond.
hold
He's a low
on,
bidder.
real quick. Okay, how do you know he wasn't the low bidder? If he would have probably been the low
Well,
bidder.
let
wait a
me
minute,
let me
he probably would have
explain.
been the low bidder if he would have been kicked out because that $500 bond issue.
Can you
understand
put
what
the
he's saying?
tab sheet on the screen, please?
What I'm seeing is I've got the low bidder
Yes.
in front of me.
But we already saw the bids. That's the problem. Everybody's seen the bids. It's not fair.
Mayor, we do this once in a while when we think that, you know, it's in the city's best interest to rebid it again. This is not the first time that I bring a package over here, or a bid to be
But this is a
rejected.
small business operation, and there are the low bidder, and everybody knows her bid. I don't think it's fair.
If I
They're
can
not the
explain
low
to
bidder.
you,
The one that
can I
qualified,
have a
yeah.
minute? If
The one that qualifies is
if
the
you
low
look at the line items in blue, that means those are the low bidders for line item. The ones that you see in green, they're the secondary. Now, the ones in red, those are the tertiary, okay? So if you look at Valley Trophy Services, you only see a few in blue, a few in green, and a few in red. That doesn't mean that they're the low bidders, okay? We're gonna go by the line item, and this is,
Commissioner, you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to know if this requirement was part of the RFQ process. Did they know they needed this?
it was part of the bid solicitation. It was said that it was gonna be, the contract was gonna be not only for one bidder. It was gonna be on a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary, in a way that we were gonna award the contract by line items. in a way that we're not going to go only with one company.
Mr. Luna,
Okay,
but did it request a CO?
Yes.
Everybody was asked to have a CO as part of the bidding process?
That's not necessarily part of the bid, but
Okay.
it's common sense that most of the companies that we deal with should have a CO to be able to have a business. And I believe I guess that answer can be also, that question can be answered by the building inspections department. But to answer your question, no, it wasn't part of the bid package.
And do we do this each time that we go out for bids? Do we require everyone to have a CO? Because, you know, I guess one of the issues, and I agree with what Commissioner Royani saying, for example, if you look at a downtown retailer right now, and I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, but if you look at a business that's operating as ropa usada, their CO is not for bailing or manufacturing. Their CO right now is retail. Yet we're not doing a single thing to that downtown business owner and saying, why are you bailing when you're supposed to be selling? Well, they're selling, but they're bailing. All in that one, within those four walls. So we don't do anything. We let them go. And that's what Commissioner Royani said, you know, here we have these issues, and yeah, we could be here all night. So at one point, do we say, you know what, hey, wait a minute. If we're going to establish this criteria, then it should be across the board at that time, if that's what we want to do. And I don't know if we do. I don't know if we're going to hurt the business. Do we want everybody to have a seal? We sure do. Do we want to know where they're at? Yes, I understand, and I totally agree. But when did we decide that that's what we were going to do? That was going to be our step process.
I mean, you said it's a common sense thing, but we don't require it from her now when we're doing business with her.
Well, and that's
Look, hey. Look.
You are in the city.
Hold
You're
on.
you're in my district. Stop saying that.
You don't need to yell.
Mayor, and commissioners.
Please, everybody
Look.
keep their cool.
What we're trying to establish is a control mechanism for all our departments to be able to know who to contact when they get trophies. What they're talking about is, in the past, a department would randomly call and ask for 3 quotes from different vendors and identify the low bid and go purchase. And they would meet the prerequisites. What Mr. Luna is trying to do under the purchasing department is identify 3 viable vendors. Those 3 vendors are approved by the commission, and every department knows where to buy this kind of material that they sell. They'll call who's ever number 1, 2, and 3, and they know where to get the material that they want. This is what he's trying to establish, as we have done with other commodities in the city. And we brought all those before the commission in the past. That's one of the things the commission has brought up in the past that's been a concern. So not to give the burden to each and every department to be calling companies, writing down what company gave this, what company gave this, what price this company gave, and then trying to justify the purchase. We are putting everything under the burden of the purchasing department. The commission approves 3 viable locations where they can go buy this commodity. That's what we're trying to do here.
I think we all understand
And
that.
before, it wasn't being done this way, and that's why she's saying, and he's saying that, yeah, I've been selling merchandise to the city. But we're trying to control all that.
Okay.
By having it all encompass everything under the purchasing department.
That's commendable.
And when we saw these, we had people that didn't have bonds, we saw people that didn't have COs, or we had someone that was outside the city, but yet their mailing address and where people were receiving is within the city. So we're not excluding anyone. We're saying we'll bring it back at the next agenda, but we need to clarify all these points. Now, if you say she's a low bid, well, you're going to get contested because other companies are going to say that's incorrect. She is not the low bid.
Well,
Who was the lowest bidder?
Hold on. Hey, may I have a...
Commissioner Tran.
This is my suggestion.
Good, I'm glad someone has one.
Okay, I'll move that we reject, but I also want Mr. Luna to take about 15 minutes on Channel 12 and explain how to fill out the form and the process for doing this so that we don't have this happen again.
I think we should reject after. I don't think we should reject. I think we should move forward from this day on by
Well, the way it's
educating
titled
people.
is rejection, and so the only thing to do is either reject the
want-
motion or to accept it as
If I may suggest, I would say that we should move forward in educating
what the standard is to everybody, but not disqualify people on this one. Because
Mayor,
it's new to everybody.
you talked about the best interests of the citizens of Brownsville. She wasn't the lowest bidder. There's other lower bidders that were bumped out because of a technicality. So what they did is they went back and attacked Robert, saying, well, look, here's another technicality. She doesn't have a CO. So in the best interest of the city, it's best to reject it and do it the right way.
We should not have opened the bids, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I
Now that
completely
the
agree with that.
bids
They
are
shouldn't have opened
open,
them up. If they had problems with them, they should have said, you know what,
bids
we've
are
got a
open,
problem.
it kind of puts everybody at a disadvantage.
Robert, I
But
would-
whatever the wishes of the commission, I'm just
You have
advocating
to open them
fairness.
up because we don't know if they have bonds. Each line item has a certain commodity. One company might have bid low on one commodity and not the other. So we need to have 3 viable companies on Robert's
Why don't we
purchasing
do
list.
it like the paving companies? We rotate 3 or 4. Why can't 3 or 4 of these trophy people rotate?
On the paving commodity, we also have these, the primary, secondary, and tertiary. The primary is C&T paving. If they cannot perform because they're busy or they don't have the materials or whatever, we go with the secondary. In this case, we can go, if that's what you wish, Valley Trophy Services and SRS Advertising, they don't have the lowest price per line item. If you look on the tab sheet, the prices in blue are the lowest prices. Now, they don't have all the lowest prices. Okay, the ones in green are the second price, the second lowest prices. So if we award the contract only to 1 or 2, then it's not in the best interest of the city to pay a higher rate for something where we can get it
So
cheaper.
based on this thing that you have up here, everything in blue is the lowest. So GT Gold Sports would probably be the lowest bidder.
But they forgot to include a bid
They
bond.
didn't include their
The
bid bond.
technicality, they didn't, just like she didn't provide a CO.
He also didn't submit a complete bid. That's why it was not
Everybody's talking at the same
responsible.
time. You were saying?
It's an incomplete bid, sir, if I may.
Sure.
Yes, David. My name is Salvas Lopez. I'm the owner of SRS Advertising. I'm here to oppose the rejection due to the fact that I'm the only one that completed this bid, this closed bid package. And I do have the listings of all the prices, so it would be completely unfair for us to open up a bid again. I already know exactly what everybody else charged. Now, I have a 4,800 square foot warehouse. I've been in business for over 12 years, Mr. Commissioner, you guys know, and it's taken a while. I pay taxes. I'm established business with the state comptroller's office. All that stuff makes a difference when it comes to pricing in comparison to somebody that's working off their house.
Let me ask a question. So
Yes,
you
sir.
had a CO and you
I'm
did
the
a,
only-
hold
I'm
on
the
real
on-
quick, let me finish.
Go ahead.
You had a CO and you had a bond?
Yes, sir.
So I would have give him he did it all right.
I'm the only business that followed proper procedure for bidding.
So let him have
The
it.
conditions were written up. We had more than a month. They amended the bid twice. We were able to do corrections. They extended it by 2-3 weeks or so, and I still managed to finish the bid properly and complete the way it was written. You get all these multi-million-dollar schools that are put up for bid. One technicality pulls out your bid. No matter if you're a low bidder, it doesn't matter. Now, like I said, going back to the pricing,
He did it right.
I followed proper procedures. I can't, looking at the numbers just right off the bat, there's no way I can compete with somebody that's working out of their house. It's impossible. It took me 4 years to get my state contractor license. It's taken a long time, and it's cost money to establish a business. I've outgrown 4 locations in Brownsville. I've been in business 12 years, and I've outgrown 4 businesses in the last 12 years. And I finally got the biggest location that I have off Morningside, and like I said, I'm the only one that filled out the bid properly, with its bond, and I carry a $1 million liability. I do everything properly with the city. So now for you guys to go ahead and reject due to some dollars that are there, obviously all these amounts are not going to be given or granted all at once. I spoke to the purchasing department. it's based off the amounts throughout the year, so if it's gonna be smaller quantities. There's some companies there that are ridiculously priced, due to probably thinking that because one of the items listed 10,000 or 2,000 shirts of apparel or 2,000 trophies, they probably thought that they were gonna get granted 2,000 trophies all at once. I'm a little smarter than that. I realize that it's throughout a long-term contract. But like I said, going back to all the conditions, the preparation of bids, everything was written up properly by the purchasing department. And I managed throughout a month and a half or two, and it was amended twice for another 2-3 weeks, and I was able to fill it out properly. Now, I'm not saying I'm the lowest bidder, but I mean, it'd be unjust for me to be held liable for their inexperience of bids or for a lack of a CO or whatever it is that they're missing. So, I mean, I'm here to oppose the rejection and think that and like I said, I mean, the pricing might be a little higher, but I've been in business for over 12 years, and to me, I realized what the amounts were, and I bid as best as I could, and as cheap as I could go, based on what you guys were saying.
Okay, what's the wish of the commission?
I move to not reject the bid, and I also ask that purchasing get on Channel 12 and explain how to fill out the package, and if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever, and we do that so we don't have this kind of problem again.
Did you want to give it to somebody, though?
I'm going to leave that up to the process, and however the form is filled out, I'm simply saying the way it is right now, I don't want him to rebid it, and...
So we got a motion to reject the bids.
Second.
Okay.
Not to reject.
No, not to reject.
Not to reject.
Not to reject.
Not to reject. Okay, do we have
The
a second?
qualified purchaser would then get it.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Who are the ones that are opposing?
Nay.
Commissioner
How many nays?
Longoria?
You just said
Myself.
Huh?
we're opposed.
Let them do it again.
Okay. You got 3 nays? Your nay? 3 nays? And your aye? Aye. 3 ayes.
Mayor.
Is
there discussion?
The rejection?
Is there discussion, Pat?
Yeah, there is discussion.
To reject the rejection.
What I want to know is, okay, SRS came in, are we going to go,
That's not fair.
according to Mr. Triani's, Commissioner Triani's?
The only thing, I'm sorry, Commissioner, and I'm sorry that I went to Mexico City.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
But the only issue we had with SRS is that his business CO has SRS Electrical.
Speak a
It
little
doesn't
louder.
say, his address, his CO says SRS Electrical, it doesn't say advertising. So initially, our building official felt that he didn't know how to have the
Charlie.
proper CO. Now, in discussing that with him today, they've had a change of heart, and they feel he does qualify.
It was a specific use.
So,
A specific use is...
Again, I am so sorry I went to Mexico City
Charlie.
and took time off. But we got a confusion here, and it doesn't seem like we are going to be
So
able
where do
to
we get the
identify.
continuing court,
Okay, I'll cast
education
my vote
courts
to
and city
reject the
government?
bids.
Can we all sign up for that?
I told you, let them.
You just solved my problem.
Well, so, reject and start from
Yeah.
where, sir? We
Yeah,
already know what everybody cries. You see what I'm...
Yeah, but it seems like there's not a simple answer, and in order to be fair, I think.
No,
we
then
can just-
they'll have to lower their bids or raise their bids.
Lawsuit waiting to happen.
Okay.
I mean,
It's gonna be, it's,
I agree with you, but also it's not fair, I think, the way it's being brought
Mr.
before.
Manager, he's bringing up a technicality of a typo that says SRS Electrical Sign Company. That's what the CO specifies.
But we're talking about technicalities over there, we're talking
No,
about.
no, sir. I'm talking about what the CO specifies. It's a specific use certificate of occupancy. The city knows exactly what I'm fabricating when I had that property zoned. Now, whether I fabricate signs or whether I do apparel or printing or anything like that all falls in the same department of printing.
So let me, hold on, real quick.
Yes, sir.
So what he's saying, and that if we,
Let's have a little order here.
real
okay?
quick, if we vote not to reject the bid, but to follow what was required in the bid process, which supposedly he's the only one that followed it, and that.
Well, not technically.
Not really.
Now.
No, we are rejecting.
seriously,
My vote
not-
is to
I mean, not
reject.
really.
Well, yeah, I voted to reject.
How,
Okay, yeah, it's over. It's over, people.
if I may, sir?
Initially, Mr. Atkinson, or Commissioner Atkinson voted with me, and then he changed at the end. So my question is what is the vote?
Okay,
A
it was
little
3 to 3, unless somebody changed their vote. Okay.
So,
Your motion was to not reject, okay.
Not to reject.
Raise your hands, not to reject.
Not to reject.
Okay, you got 3. Okay, to reject, let's start over.
I'll have to.
You got 2.
Oh, let me ask a question. Can I ask real quick?
No, you can't. You just need to vote.
Yes,
I
go
just,
ahead.
I just
Go-
want to
go-
clarify.
go ahead.
Hey, real
He's-
quick.
If it's
he's-
gonna
he's
help,
trying to
if it's gonna
specify,
help-
Mr. Mayor.
If it's gonna help,
By-
certainly.
By
Be a
not-
little bit more specific
I
as to
just-
what you mean by not
exactly.
rejecting.
And that's all I'm asking for.
Right.
Let him ask the
Let me ask the
question.
question to Robert. By not rejecting the bids, what happens?
By not rejecting the bids,
We
the
don't have
city-
second, third tier.
We don't.
The number one issue here is that the whole purpose behind going out for bids is to get the best price there is. Okay? You need to have that in mind.
Okay.
Number 2, if you were to say that you wanna award the contract to SRS or to SRS and Valley Trophy Services, okay, how are you gonna award all the lowest prices if we're going on a line item by line item? And then the third, you're not gonna have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary. You're only gonna have them.
That's the reason why you get 30 pages of descriptions.
Okay. Commissioner Gowan.
I had a question for Commissioner Troyani. By not rejecting, are you also saying that they should not reject, but go back and fix the technicalities so it's fixed? Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Well, but is that what you mean?
It's going to be up to purchasing to sit there and, okay, this is the
So the prices stay the same, but they fix
their
their technicalities?
Yes.
Now, let me ask this. I need to understand specifically what you want me to do.
Okay,
If
Well, you know what? I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna vote to reject the bids and then have it go back and follow the procedures the right way.
Can I make a comment right before the vote? Give me a second.
Let's get it out.
I don't want to kick you when you're down, but don't ever put me in this kind of a situation again. You and I are friends, but I don't want to get caught in this kind of situation with our local vendors. Please get these things situated. Please get them right so that we don't have to have these kinds of discussions in open session. Please.
It was written up properly, Commissioner. It was written up the way it was supposed to. I don't have any problem with the way he wrote it up. Not one problem. It was written up properly. Now, if the people, the other vendors do not have the proper documentation to be able to come through with their bids, that's their problem.
Robert,
right.
Robert, one more question. I'm sorry. Just to go back.
Yes.
Is he right?
Yeah, he's right.
But
All
it
I-
did not
all I can
produce the
say-
results that he was hoping that you get second tier and third tier.
All I can say is that the specs, like what he's saying, they're correct. The only issues were that some of them didn't submit a complete bid, some of them didn't submit a bid bond, and some of them have issues with COs.
Do you
But
see
he
where
did
this?
everything like he was supposed to.
Do you see where this is going to come back to us on other bids? Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, Robert. Not so much.
How will that be, Mr. Commissioner, if it's written up the way it's supposed to be?
Can I add to his motion? If he were to say, I move to not reject the bids and give it to the person who followed the procedures the right way, which is NRS, then I will do that.
That's what we're doing.
Well, then I'll vote for that.
Okay, you gotta keep in mind, you're not.
May I say one thing,
Yeah, sure.
please? I mean, I'm trying not to interrupt anybody, but I'm back here waiting, okay? First of all, the request was for a whole list of items. The only 2 vendors that quoted on every item was him and I, Valley Trophy and SRS. Now, the total bids for each one of us, I'm $30,000 less than him. It's right there on your papers. So whatever his technicality is with his CO, and whatever my technicality is between a
doesn't have a
mailing
technicality.
address
See that?
and a
He
not a
didn't.
mailing address. And again, Commissioner, you're welcome to come to the daycare center. There are no little children making trophies there, I swear to you. Okay? I swear to you. And the state will back me up on that.
Actually, I've been there to go look for the arena that the city of Brownsville paid for, and it's still at your property.
Again, I'm here discussing an item, and we said it's not supposed to be personal. So again, sir, let's be
Boys and girls
It's
professional.
not supposed to be
Arena,
personal.
I wanna-
That's right.
We're all, it's difficult for us, believe me, it's
So-
not easy.
And I understand
It
the
shouldn't be.
position that you're in, but I know that you have two vendors that followed, in my opinion, all the directions. We both followed all the rules. And I don't feel we should be penalized for that, and I think it should go through the normal recourse, and like I said, the numbers are right there. Now, if you were gonna cherry pick every single item, and he's right, a guy in McAllen or Harlingen bid you $3 for a shirt because he thought he was gonna get to run all 2,000 at once. Since we already do business, or I already do business with the city of Brownsville, I know that they are not gonna order 2,000 shirts at once. So I'm not gonna bid $3 for a shirt. I can't afford to do it. But the thing is that I feel, him and I both were the ones that complied with all the requests from the purchasing department, and I don't feel that either of us should be penalized based on a wording technicality on a mailing address or a CO. But no one else bid all the items. No one else bid all the items. No other vendor.
See, I mean, it's pretty tough. You got two good bidders and you got a big difference, 30,000.
Exactly, but you also have people that aren't here, like GT Sports, that can say the technicality of providing a $500 bond.
Here's Mr. Commissioner,
He didn't, GT Sports, and I got a call from his office, said, look, I've never heard of a $500 bond. I always do stuff for BISD. I always do stuff for the city. He's done a lot of stuff for the city. He's never been asked for a $500 bond to this time. And GT Sports have been around just as long as y'all have.
No, he's a good friend of mine as well, but
Yeah, I know.
if you notice, one of the conditions was, and it's specified very clearly on the bid package, that partial bids will not be accepted. If you show on his, he's got a no bids on the second page of all the apparel part. He's a trophy fabricator. He didn't bid on any apparels. And that was one condition, again, that you had to follow. You had to follow all that.
Yeah.
Now, back to the CO technicality part about it, if you're not an established business, I mean, you don't report to the state comptroller's office, you don't pay taxes, you don't pay your quarterlies. I don't know how you go about in running business. I started off at my house 12 years ago, and I only lasted there 3 months because of the same thing. The comptrollers wanted to know, or the city wanted to know, where's your business at? How is it you're running, how is it you're printing and cutting vinyl and et cetera, off your house? I had my billing
She
address.
pays taxes that she
Mayor.
reports.
Well, regardless of what it is, she's showing an address based on Central where you say she's
I
on
know
city
what she
limits.
is.
Mayor, Mayor, if I
Yeah,
may
go ahead.
just make a quick comment, I think it's very clear, if we don't reject these bids, it's gonna be given to one company versus someone else, and even at that, it's at a higher price than everyone else.
I understand that
And so-
completely, sir.
And so I think we could all agree that there was a technicality on both sides, and for everyone. That's
Well,
one of
I
those-
don't agree with that, because
Well,
mine
You
was
didn't have a
done on a
technicality.
typo
Well,
that was done there at the
is.
city.
What was
Had
your
that-
technicality?
There
What was
is.
your
There's nothing there. It's on my part. I filled out properly. Somebody called in the city, the purchasing department saying that I had no CO on my business. I went through the rezoning committee. I went through you guys and city commission. You guys approved my location, my
Yours says
establishment,
signs instead of trophies or something like that?
et cetera. Mr. Gomez,
So
is he here?
So again, I'm saying, why would we go and award something when we know that this wouldn't be the right thing to do?
If
No,
you
the
do
right
that and you
thing to
reject,
do-
sir, that leaves up everything up in the open.
Okay, there is a motion, let's end this right now. There is a motion, there's a motion to reject the bid.
Not to reject the bids,
That
but
was his motion.
oh, to reject the
Let's,
bid.
not to reject it, not to reject it. Okay?
But,
So there's a vote here. How say you? Let's go. Those who want not to reject, raise your hand. Not to reject. 3. Okay, to reject, raise your hand. 3. I'm gonna go with the reject. Let's start all over again. Okay? I hate to do it, but I think this is the only thing we can do.
Fair enough.
Under circumstances. Can we,
Would adjourn.
can we have a motion to adjourn? Can we get that?
Motion.
We have a motion. Can we have a second?
No, Charlie, I called him.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried.